right, cool. Let's get it. All right, Suge, I'm recording. So I want to ask you, right? Dion and MC Hammer. I know you had a working relationship with both of them. If you don't mind, can you give me the backstory behind that? Like, how did that come about?
Prime always been a good dude. We liked old Deion. So, Deion used to have like these basketball games for the celebrity basketball games, and I fly my guys out, put them up in the hotel, and let them participate in this event. So, Deion wanted to be a rapper. I said, all right. He said, man, I want to do an album. I said, well, you don't need to do no gangster shit. You Prime, you're an NFL star. We can build it around that. So I got the writers together, got the track together, got Dallas Austin did a lot of stuff on him. I flew guys to Atlanta because he was living in Atlanta at the time and put him up in hotels for like 2 and 3 months straight, you know. Order room service, much as they want, whatever they wanted, I paid for it. But it supposed to be because of Deion's album. Deion had an agent named Gene, a real good dude. He said, look, man, you pay for everything, and, he keeping up the track with how much I spent so far. And I spent probably like $450,000, right? He said, but Deion, got deals with Nike. And we don't know that'll be it's not corporate for Deion to come out on death row. At this time, I already got $450,000 in and all the work done. One of the songs we did is Must Be the Money, the one they was playing on that Gacko with the fucking, the little commercial. So, nevertheless, I said, well, look, if Death Row too powerful and too dirty for Deion, as long as I make my bread and make my bread back, I'll take the Death Row logo off and we can just put it out on Interscope. Because when it came to anything dealing with hip-hop or black, that was my position at Interscope just as well as it is with Death Row. I had to say so. So I grabbed Jimmy and all these guys, and we had all these meetings, and we finished the album up. Later on, a few things started happening. I guess I was going through some things, and I never got my bread back. They didn't, and we was all in. I was all in, taking private planes and let Deion perform in clubs and little small places to perform at, promoting it. Matter of fact, Deion wanted some things done I'd rather not say, but it wasn't across the board. With the guys he wanted to do things for him, they ended up going to jail and getting a little time, and I had to pay for all that. So that raised the bill up on that. And Deion never paid me back. I know recently he went on somebody's show and said that he paid me back. Where and when and where's the check? Then he called Nick and a few people directly and said, I paid him. Okay, where and when, where's the check? Still haven't got my money back. So, oh, by the way, I can use my shit there. But at the same time, we was all really good friends. At the same time, I remember one time that Deion had a game. The Dallas Cowboys was playing the 49ers. So we called up the private plane, took my pops, 3 of my uncles, 3 of my homies, and off to the game we went. After the game, Deion stayed over, and we all went to Hammer's house. That's when Hammer had built that big house on top of the ghetto. And it was at the bottom was like the project, and Hammer went up the hill. It was a nice mansion up there. So we go to Hammer's house, and Deion there. We all there. And the crazy thing about it, he would just say, later on, they try to say Deion on the sweet side. I said, not Deion, not Prime, And then if people started connecting the dots later on and saying, well, Tracy Edmonds only married guys in the industry. They go both ways to trying to cover something up. I still didn't bite, And they said that today. And this was after the fact I seen what I seen. But at the end of the day, Tracy was married to Babyface, and everybody know Babyface, Damian Thomas, and all those dudes been lovers. Everybody know that, according to everybody who speaks, Eddie Murphy situation, his lovers are getting caught with trannies. Everybody then, she was with both of them. Then she was with Deion. And everybody said, man, did you guys know? We said, no, we just knew this. Hammer had this house, but he also had an indoors pool. You know, if you're going to put a swimming pool inside your house, you just can't put a pool inside the house and don't make the house available to have an inside pool. So we in Hammer house, your eyes burning because all
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
the house was smelling like chlorine. So you know, my pop said, hey man, I gotta go, man. We're gonna get a cab or something, go back to the hotel. My eyes burning, all this chlorine. I said, yeah, it's strong as a motherfucker, but if you go, we all go. You don't gotta get a cab. I'm gonna tell, you know, Hammer and Deion and them and everybody, we out of here. So we went to go to the room, and the Hammer had this little room like you can get massages, like a little gym. Our stupid ass did not knock, and we pretty much got our eyes busted a little bit, you know. Wish I can take that one back. And I'm not gonna sit there and be lying and saying, you know, we watched a porno, but it sure seemed like it was a porno, you know. One person was getting a massage, and the other person was getting a massage was giving it look like it was a body massage. So we shot out of there, you know, and never spoke about it. But you know, certain things shouldn't be discussed, because you know, I love both of those dudes, all the love in the world for them, you know. I don't even know why this spoke a little bit of the truth, but I'm gonna really back in a little bit, you know, because I really cherish the people I do know. I really do understand that words are powerful. Sometimes the truth is stronger than anything. And I often like to try to change my ways of, I still believe in standing on the truth, but I'm not really trying to smother nobody with the truth either. Because I always say, you can say some good news about somebody, they barely make it down the street. You say some not considered good news or bad news about a motherfucker, it'll make it around the world, not down the street, it'll make it around the world 10 times before good news make it down the street. So that's been said, it goes without saying. That's the situation. Just like the song Must Be the Money. When it was time to make one of the songs for Deion, you know, once again, when people think they're in the studio with Death Row, they around the Death Row people, everybody want to shoot a motherfucker. Everybody want to beat a motherfucker. Everybody want to, and it's crazy because even though Deion curse, he stays saying bullshit, he wants to say, but he want gangster. And we like, nah, man, you can't be gangster, you know. So everybody was like, talk about stuff like, and people see, when you do music, it's supposed to be believable. So even if you don't shoot people, even if you don't rob nobody, but an artist, a rapper can be a great actor and you believe what they're talking about. You can have an ugly bitch say she pretty. In reality, ugly is a motherfucker. But if she got confidence with it, you believe she pretty. And if a guy a square dude and he acting like he a gangster, you'll believe it. So when it came to Deion, we was like, let's give you something believable. Like, you got money. You Deion Sanders. So therefore, it must be the money. That's how that song came about. And everything was done specifically for him. And if they would have dropped it, when I say drop it, it would have shut everything down. Because Prime was in his prime. And that's a great song. Still today, when you think about it, people came and bit that hook, but we did that hook for Deion a long time ago. By the way, Deion, you getting the publishing off of it and the commercials off of it. I ain't a tight end. Did I get my bread back door or what? But you know, Deion is a good dude, man. I ain't gonna say nothing bad about him. Hammer, me and Hammer, we go way back. And me and Louis Burrell, which is Hammer's brother, we call him Barbecue. We always been great friends, you know, been on tour together when I was out there with Al Heyman. And I was watching BET. Hammer was on there. And I didn't see Hammer, you know, anybody that really know Hammer don't go nowhere without his pieces, his watch, his chain. And I didn't see those pieces on him. So immediately I felt that something was wrong, so I got on the horn and told Hammer I need to holler at him. I better get him out to L.A. So I flew him and the homie Wee Wee out. And the minute he got there, he told me what was going on. So I took Hammer. We went and got his jewelry back, got his cards back, gave him some bread, got him a high rise. He bought a Rolls, he bought a Hummer, and we started getting it in, you know. And, you know, introduced him to everybody. He know everybody, but not on the one-on-one page. Like, we're going to be doing some work together. We're going to do an album for him. The first person I talked to about it was Pac. And Pac had always been outspoken. So Pac wasn't on board at first. He was like, nah, man, Hammer can't come to Death Row, and, you know, his style of music ain't our style of music. If he going to do his style of music, he got to stick to dancing. Because, you know, Hammer was on some gangster shit. And Pac didn't like that. And I was like, but, you know, this Hammer, we got to at least get him a shot. So I told Pac that I wanted him to do a song for Hammer. So usually when we get a song done for someone, I can Pac the writer, he'll go in and do the vocals. I'll put it on a CD or cassette, and they'll listen to it for a week or two till they learn it and perform it exactly like the person wrote it. So the first song we did for Hammer, at least one of the first songs, it was a song called Unconditional Love. The reason why Pac picked that song, because he was like, well, Hammer ain't gangster, Hammer ain't street, so Hammer been married all this time. He said, even though I never met his wife or nothing like that, but he knew Hammer was married. So he did a song called Unconditional Love. That song supposed to came out on Hammer, but when I went to prison, they put it out on for Tupac. Tupac would have been mad as a motherfucker because he did that song specifically just for Hammer. So that's how it started, you know. And we did a lot more songs for Hammer. We finished the album up for Hammer. But unfortunately, when I got locked up, and then Hammer had came through and took all the songs we did for him, all the reels and the masters and stuff, and took them. Everybody was hot about it, but I was like, Hammer's still my brother, you know. Everybody want to deal with it a certain way, and you can't treat your brother the way you treat someone else in the streets. As a matter of fact, Eric B. wanted to do a project, and Hammer had some songs from Tupac that he stole out the studio. That wasn't Tupac song, but it was Pac vocals. Eric B was like, man, I'm going to do this project. I want to use those songs. Hammer was like, nah, I ain't fucking with you. And recently, not recently, but a while back, somebody called me and was like, hey, I got these Tupac songs because I bought Hammer storage. He owed $100 and he didn't pay it, so I got them. I said, well, you can't use them. That's considered stolen property, you know. However, that's how that went. At the same time, you know, Hammer's still Hammer. That's our brother, but Hammer's relationship with a lot of people might be Shaky, I'm always going to have love for him. I know him and Pac weren't the best of friends, but they had respect for each other, And I know Hammer did a few speaking engagements and said that Pac used to call him Uncle Hammer. And Pac ain't never called him Uncle. And
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Pac wore his heart in his fist. He hit with that motherfucker. So Pac told her how he felt it was. And him and Hammer went tight to be where he was calling him uncle or all those type of things. Pac was more about the rah-rah, and him and Hammer, they wasn't close like that. But shit, we took a trip. It was my birthday. So my B-Day one year, I ordered a plane, and everybody supposed to took somebody. It was a couples event, basically. If you wasn't married, grab your bitch, So we flew to Belize. When we get to Belize, the first night, a friend of mine owned a hotel. We closed it down, and we went wild pig hunting at night. We lived in the jungle, and everybody had different rooms. Then we went to the city. Then we went to the island. Each place we went to, we all had, made sure everybody had a big suite, big living room, big bedroom. Everybody was couples. Even the homies had couples. Everybody had somebody. Neckbone and Rage was together, and so on and so on. And Kadada was there. I remember one time we coming in and we looking for our bitches, and they was all in the room with Kadada having one of those waiting to exhale moments. Kadada was preaching to them, saying, "Hey, if y'all gonna have sex, here go condoms. Everybody gotta make sure they don't run out of condoms because back to safe sex, they might have something." I'm like, man, fuck this bitch. I tell my bitch, if you gonna listen to this bitch, you might as well sleep on the floor. I get a new bitch. I ain't going for that. And everybody started clowning and laughing. That's why everybody thought it was so funny when Kadada tried to say she was pregnant about Tupac when they never had unprotected sex. But that's another story at a different time. But anyway, everybody had somebody except for Hammer and Snoop. I don't know why he didn't bring Shantae and Hammer didn't bring his wife, and Pac was clowning them because they'd be in the same bed. Like, we'd be partying all night, doing all the crazy shit, and when it was time to take it in, everybody grabbed their bitch and got in their room. We'd wake up in the morning, waking everybody up, and sometimes we'd go by their room, and Hammer and Snoop would be in the bed asleep. And Pac would be like, man, why you eating in your room? Or why you not sleeping on the couch? Why y'all both laying on the bed? Damn, they're like, man, ain't nothing wrong with that. Pac, you crazy. And we used to all, laugh and joke about that. It was a big thing. It's just all funny games of the family,
Suge, I want to ask you about Tupac joining Death Row. Who's really the reason behind Tupac joining Death Row?
Well, it definitely was not Snoop, period. It was Keisha. I don't know Keisha's last name, but it was Keisha. And Keisha's the one that saved Tupac's life. Reason why I say that, because that woman would call my office every fucking day. I'm Tupac's wife. I need to talk to Suge Knight. I'm Tupac's wife. I need to talk to Mr. Knight. And everybody would laugh and make fun of it. So when I walk in the office, I see all these motherfuckers laughing. What's up? Oh, this stupid bitch saying she Tupac's wife. And I said, whoa, hold on. You trying to tell me somebody calling for Tupac saying they his wife and y'all think it's funny? So I tell you what, the next time she call and y'all don't get me on the phone, I'm firing motherfuckers. So she called and she was like, Tupac said, you the one person can help him. He needs you to come sing. I'm his wife. We got married. So I said, well, look, before I say anything, give me a little time. get in front of a lawyer and call me, and we'll talk. She called. I gave her my cell number. She called me. I'm talking to the lawyer. I'm on house arrest. Excuse me. I'm on house arrest, by the way, with an anchor bracelet on. I'm asking, could he get me in there to see Tupac, like we normally do, which is David Kenner. He said, yeah. He said, but if they catch your anchor bracelet, you going to jail. I said, that's a chance I got to take. So it was all Keisha. But I did have a conversation with Snoop, but you got to realize one thing. Snoop was a little brother, too. I said, hey, I'm going to visit Tupac. After I visit Tupac, and I decided to get Tupac out and put him on death row, I told everybody, I'm going to put Tupac on death row. Everybody was cool with that. So it wasn't no bad blood or no weirdo shit. It was all Keisha. But the crazy thing about it, David Kenner was only lawyer willing to take a risk. When I went to go see fucking Mike in prison, shit, David Kenner gave me a fake ID and got me in there. When he was go see Mike in prison, there was a guy named Dre that him and Andre was good friends. They used to take him to go visit Mike in with a birth certificate like that. He was 15, 17 years old, and the motherfucker was damn near 30. So we did things that help our people. And I said this before, shit, I saved Andre's life. When Mike set up a lick for the other Dre, along with Andre, to go rob these Mexican dudes and steal their cocaine, I told Andre, don't do it. He said, man, the only thing I got to do is carry the money. He going to rob them, he going to carry the drugs. I said, you run in there with those, some real Southsiders, there's going to be some dead motherfuckers. He said, I'm not going inside. I'm just going to wait outside and carry the money. The other Dre go on that motherfucker, they knock his ass down. Dre called me panicking. I hear gunshots. What do I do? Nigga, drive around the corner, some motherfucker will keep driving, I'll meet you. I had to go meet his scary ass and say, follow me all the way back. I said, the police could have came and caught him from trying to rob somebody. They'd have gave you the body, idiot. So a lot of things we did was to help each other. And we had a tight bond. So Keisha was the one contact me with Tupac. It was not to come on death row. And I'm going to say this. A lot of people talk about Tupac who never met the man, never did business with the man, or they might have had a conversation but they weren't friends with the man. Let's not put Tupac's name in vain. Tupac still today, the best of all times. And he did sacrifice a lot. And all the motherfuckers who participated in his downfall, I'm not going to be the asshole that I used to be and put that recorder out there, Snoop. I'm not going to be like everybody else. I got this. I'm going to play it. I'm not playing shit. You know what you said. I know what you said. You said it. And if I was really a fucked up motherfucker and played that, there'll be three things you can do. Go hang with Russell Simmons somewhere. Hope you're going to pick that one. I don't want you to go out backwards. Sleeping in the same bed. Kill yourself. Definitely wouldn't want you to do that one. Still got love for you. Or end up in this motherfucker where you definitely have to come holler. I don't want that. We spent too much money and worked too hard to make sure you didn't go to prison last time for life. But I will say this. I'm on some positive shit. Shout out to Snoop. Shout out to everyone in the industry. and let's get better. I'm Suge Knight. I'm out.
But before you go, of course, you can't play the audio, but can you tell us what was said?
Well, if I tell you what's on the recording, it's like playing that recording. And if I do that, I'll be putting handcuffs on Snoop. Now, I like dealing with you and having a conversation with you. But even as this guy is supposed to be an enemy of mine, I still would not, and will not, send him to prison or want to see him in prison. That's basically how that goes. So I couldn't tell you what all he said, but it's incriminating. It's regarding Tupac. He the only one knows the reason why Tupac's dead, more than me. And I was in the car with him.
Just curious, right? When Tupac came to Death Row, who was affected by that? Like, who albums was pushed back?
Everybody's. Tupac he cut the line. Everybody else is in line, lining up to come next. Tupac came and went front of the line. Not only did he go to the front of the line, he sucked all the starness out of every artist we had on Death Row. There used to be a time that we went somewhere, people were like, there go Andre. They wanted an autograph. There go Snoop. They wanted an autograph. The Dog Pound, Danny Boy, Joel, every fucking body. When Tupac came and we do events, regardless if it was a Mother's Day brunch, regardless if it was a concert, after the concert, at a club, at a school, at a hospital, no matter who was there, who all got the limelight and the star quality of the reaction of the people, that changed. Once Tupac walks in, it's over. Tupac was so fucking famous. I remember taking Tupac to an R. Kelly concert. And this R. Kelly in his prime, before the little kids. And I walked Tupac to the front of the stage. One of those motherfuckers shined the light. And when the fans seen Tupac was there, they was rushing him. I had to get him out of the arena. Once I got him out of there, it seemed like half of the concert left when Tupac left. At least pretty much all the bitches. So his light was so bright, I never seen nothing like it in my life. So I understand.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Tupac and the other artists on Death Row, it turned to jealousy, and from jealousy to hate. So majority of the people clapped on Death Row when Tupac passed away. They didn't have that problem of him taking their shine no more. That's why we all talked about it. Not one person wants to do a tribute record to Tupac. That's why when everybody want to say that they knew Tupac and that was their homie, when Tupac got a star, name me one person from Death Row was there. I'm talking about the real Death Row, because some people wasn't really the real Death Row, and you know what that means. But Andre wasn't there, Snoop wasn't there, Gas wasn't there. We can go on. But why not? Why at the same time, I loved how they paid homage to Biggie. They did a song, Missing You. They reformed that song, Missing You. Name one song they did for Tupac. Now, when they need some attention, they'll speak on his name in vain. So, therefore, instead of America's Most Wanted, Tupac was death row most hated. That's why when people go and says Tupac wanted to leave death row, that's not true. Tupac did want to shake the people on death row. He told me 1,000 times, even in my limo, look, you my manager. Let's do these movies. Let's do this, let's do that. I was going to take him on tour with nothing but bitches and hand out chocolate tubes in the audience. At the same time, when Tupac did his first movie, he couldn't do the movie because there was no insurance company carrying. We now know who put the $5 million before he was able to do that movie. Tupac is a great man. Still a great man. And if Tupac was here, that'd be the one person front line for me to get out of prison. Right now, seems like no one cares, like jealousy took over. And the slave masters got niggas back being slaves. You even got a black slave master, dressing like the slave masters. Enough said.
What was Pac's issue with Jay?
Well, the issue Pac had with Jay was this. Jay and Biggie was friends. That's as far as I knew. I never knew that Jay did something to Pac personally. I never knew that Nas did something to Pac personally. I knew that Pac and Biggie was really good friends. They was like brothers. So they knew each other. Matter of fact, I said this before. I know when Pac first came home, I had him in a penthouse at the Peninsula Hotel. I heard him talking to Biggie on the phone, and Pac had him on speaker. When that conversation was taking place, it wasn't like enemies arguing and fussing with each other. It wasn't like they hated each other. By the look of Pac's face and the way Biggie sound, it seemed like brothers had a disagreement, but they was hurt by what they did to each other. I heard Pac tell Biggie, the bitch didn't want to fuck with you. I made the bitch fuck with you, or I wasn't going to fuck with her or her friend. And Biggie would be like, yeah. And, it was like a grown man conversation. And you know me, after hearing that conversation, I was on some shit like, one day we could do an album, both of those guys together, a 4 CDs album, and tours. And I know when it came to Jay, Pac didn't like the fact that Jay-Z was friends with Biggie. I know that it wasn't personal with him. And it's not like he hated Jay, and when he seen Jay, he wanted to cut his throat or something. And I feel that I don't think Jay had hatred for Tupac like that either. Because when Jay wanted to do Me and My Girlfriend over with him and Beyonce, no problem at all. Do whatever you like. Beyonce is the all-time greatest of a black woman. Her mother, Tina, is one of the best women around. And I like Jay-Z. Jay's a businessman. One thing I really want to say is that I had conversations with Kanye before, even recently. I need to holler at Kanye. I don't want to go by what other people say, what the media say. I want to hear from him. We never disrespect no one kids. We never put anyone down. especially kids. And what I mean by that, most people probably don't have the nuts to say it. I don't got nothing else. I got my nuts. You don't talk about Jay and Beyonce's children or their son, whoever. You call them retarded. That's what we won't do. It's real consequences for those type of actions. I put the people in hip hop, people in our community, on a higher standard than that. We came a long way as black people, as slaves, not to attack people, kids, or somebody is disabled. That's not funny to me. Not one bit. I love all kids. And I love hip-hop. And I love the culture of our people. I'm trying to prove my ways and myself. I would hate for us to have to go backwards. That's basically what it is, you know. He's a bitch. And I look at it like this. What Beyonce does for hip-hop and the community of our people, that woman works really, really hard. I mean, her sister, their whole family is good people. There's only one time that Tina got mad at me, and Shalon told me that. So I remember going to a Beyonce concert. You know, I'm in the back, I'm walking around, and they came and filmed me walking. No big deal. That's Beyonce. So once we was in the back, they sent some guy with them to get me to sign off on it, saying they can use the footage. As I got ready to sign it, one of my really good friends, Wes, who works with Al Heyman, Big Wes, grabbed the paper, balled it up, and told the dude he was going to beat his ass and chased him out of there. So I said, man, what you do that for? Fuck him. I said, nah, man, say fuck him on your time. And next thing I know, I seen Salon, and she goes,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm like, oh, shit. Who I done said something about now? She said, no, you didn't say nothing about the thing. I said, look, that wasn't me. I said, I ain't going to snitch on nobody, but shit, you should know that ain't me. And we laughed about it. But what Beyonce accomplished and the balls she has to fight hard for the culture of our people says a lot. She one of the hardest working people that ever been in that business. Then Jay accomplished a lot. Jay got bars. He works hard. But for Kanye to say something about a child, he need an old-fashioned ass whooping.
You and Master P, what was the situation between both of y'all? I know Master P, he said in the interview that you called him telling him that Kelly wasn't big enough for him and Puffy, and he replied back to you asking you when you was moving.
Yeah, so this what happened. Number one, P couldn't tell me that I gotta leave. Look, I'm born and raised out here. And I'm from the east side of Compton, number one. I've been from there from day one. I've been there so long that I didn't have to let nobody whoop my ass and say I was from Compton. I was already from Compton at the beginning of it. Poor as P, I got family from everywhere. I'm a real West Coast motherfucker. If I would say that P wanted to have problems with me, I don't think P would be able to walk outside. Number one, let's remember one thing. P, you started in New Orleans. They basically ran you out of New Orleans. You went to Texas. Basically got ran out of there. You went to the Bay. Once you get on the West Coast, shit get real on the Bay. You was out there with your brother. They air his ass out and lay him down. Knowing that you're not revenging, you moved out here. When you got out here, the motherfuckers you hang with wasn't tough motherfuckers. You took a person, you lied and said you came to visit me in prison, which you never did. You said you got Snoop for me, which you never did. I sold Snoop bitch ass to Priority Records and Brian Turner, giving the right to loan to you. You had your whole crew. When Snoop got embarrassed, you did nothing. Everything you do is behind someone else. So, only thing is, I put it to you like this. This idiot never sold records. I'm in prison. Before I left prison, I was in prison all through the 90s and 2000s and that shit, right? And you walk on the yard and you hear people having their own ghetto blasters, this table, that table, people working out, people walking, and you hear death row music all day long. I ain't never really heard nobody bumping no limit music. If you go to on your podcast right now, you can go and say anybody who can bring me a Chronic CD, Doggy Down CD, All Eyes on Me, Dog Pound, anything, I give you $1,000. Motherfuckers will come bring those CDs in. After all this time, if you go and say, bring me a No Limit CD, Mimi X, whatever her name is, this person, that person, it won't be many. This old country bumpkin ass nigga was buying his own motherfucking music. So what that tell you? And for each and anything to be said, enough been said. How is a grown, everything he took from someone else. You tried to make your company behind death row. You tried to act like death row. I'm the nigga that started the death row change. You want to start a no limit change.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Ray's, that's the home girl. Ray's the first one said, let's get on her verses. Now, Ray's down as a motherfucker. And I don't know why Ray said, but she might have been saying, because she might have been thinking about getting fucked. No disrespect to Ray. I love Ray. But P, you took Ray saying and said, no, right? So maybe P thought either he thought of him getting fucked or he got a shit. Because whatever it was, that's something you stole from a bitch. Bitch. You know? So anything outside of telling the truth is bullshit. No more, no less. The C murder dude, yeah, shouts out to murder. Because at the end of the day, he's doing time. And hopefully he can get his freedom back. But at the same time, P and them took an unreleased Tupac song that Dad's one of those dudes stole or security let him steal it. Shouts out to Top Notch Security. And gave that song, Pete and them got a hold of it. The murder dude did a song in his own voice of the whole list was Tupac's. How disrespect is that? You know, come on, P. Ain't no need to bullshit. You kiss ass, got your son a scholarship on another nigga's back at USC for free. Never got in the game. Not only that, everybody want to say all these negative things about me. You got your own brother. Hopefully he's not still working there, working at a gym. This is unheard of. If anybody want to have something to say when I'm in prison. I don't want to have nothing negative to say about no one, even though I just kick some facts. But, P, cut the bullshit out. Every drug dealer want to be famous. Still a drug dealer.
I always heard this rumor that Tupac, he was supposed to go to Atlanta instead of Vegas, but she was begging him to go. Is there any truth to that?
No truth to that. Only time that he wanted to go to Atlanta, and we was planning on going to Atlanta after Vegas because he got a relative, a real family member. And Pac hated this dude. He said they used to steal from him, do him dirty when he was young because they was older than him. And he stated that the guy stole all his guns. Tupac had guns out there in Atlanta. He said the guy stole them and he wanted to go out there and beat the shit out of him with his motherfucking ass. He said, look, man, I'm going to Atlanta, fuck the dude up. I need you to come with me. I just said, what's up? He tell me, he's like I just told you, he said, man, my relative stole all my guns from his mother's house or whatever and sold them, right? Because he was a dope fiend or not. So I said, look, you know I'm going to go with you. But when we go out there and you get on this dude and we get on this dude, it's going to be all bad. So that's not fair if you don't want it. He said, man, you know I want it. He said, right after the fight, we're going to go out there and whip his ass. And one thing about Pac, if anybody ever knew anything about Pac gonna say what the fuck he want to say and how he feels. He spoke from his heart. I feel I do the same thing. I never forget at the Mother's Day dinner, Pac was on stage, and before he performed Dear Mama, his mother sitting right in the audience. Pac looks over and says, Danny Boy lost his mother. My mother did too. So Pac, not a guy who bites his tongue. And I don't know what he meant by that. I ain't never asked him. But there's footage of that. So Pac never been the guy who bullshit. He was going after the fight and wanted me to go with him to beat Israeli's ass. That's the bottom line.
So he was going to Atlanta, but he was going after the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Pac wouldn't have missed a Mike Tyson fight for no motherfucking body. We love Tyson. We always gonna support Tyson. But we was going to beat this motherfucking ass of Israeli after the fight. You know, we was gonna push out there. You know, Pac is loyal, truthful, and he gonna keep that shit gangster. Period.
And it was over Pac cousin selling his guns, right?
Not because he did. He stole Tupac guns from his mother's house and sold them. And it was an ongoing thing. Pac was like pretty much the black sheep out of his family. He didn't get along with a lot of people in his family. So as he got older, he became to his own man as Tupac and handled his business as Tupac. So that's just that. I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things to still today. People tell stories that regarding Death Row or Tupac or me, that's their soul, just to tell the truth. And even when it came to the fact that everybody want to say that I'm lying that Snoop was there with Tupac in the hospital. Put it to you like this. Bless his soul. If he make it to heaven, he had a conversation with Pac when that time comes. But I will say this. If Snoop and Pac was really tight and brothers like that, the minute he heard about the shooting, the minute he heard that Pac was in the hospital, he should have been there. I had to call and get on his ass and make him come there. And it took damn near a week for him to get there. I don't know no one. I know if it was the other way around and Snoop got shot and he was in the hospital, Pac would have been by his bedside time he came out of surgery, even though he was mad at him. He'd have been like, I'm glad you came out of surgery. You know I'm mad at you, and I'm going to go get on the motherfuckers who did this to you. In discussion. So it's not trying to make Snoop look bad. It's not trying to make anybody else seem like liars. It's just the idea of don't lie. Pac not here to tell the truth. So I'm not going to let you lie on the man's name. But that's neither here or there. Because Pac in a better place to move on. We stuck in hell right now. And Malik is the one that's hurting real bad. So let's do something for Malik.
All right, Suge, before I bring Malik Lee in, let the people know a little bit about him.
Man, first of all, Malik deserves his cigars. Malik was a day one motherfucker with Death Row. When I started Death Row early on, Malik was there. Not right at the beginning, but like right there at the beginning. A lot of other motherfuckers have stories and they gotta tell what they heard from someone else. Malik was there. And Malik was the guy who did security for Snoop. If it weren't for Malik, we never would have had Doggy Style. Because when Snoop caught the murder case and shot that dude, shit, we only had one song done. So by Malik taking a rap and claiming something he didn't do, for me, for Snoop, for Death Row, that got Snoop his freedom. If it weren't for that, it would have been no Dog Pound album. It would have been no All Eyes on Me album. I don't even think I would have been able to get Tupac out of prison if it weren't for Malik. Because when you really look at it, when you have an artist that go to prison for murder, that's a dark cloud over the label. The label's already named Death Row. And I was already Suge Knight. I was born that. So everything that Malik did for Snoop, did for me, did for Death Row, is unheard of. He definitely deserves his cigars, and I can't wait to holler at it. Because he did take that murder case for Snoop. He never shot no one.
Wow. Yeah, I ain't know anything about that. I'm about to bring Malik Lee in right now.
Malik, what's up, man?
What's up, man? What's up, Suge? Man, how you doing, man?
Man, every day's a blessing. Every day's a blessing.
Man, I've been waiting to talk to you, man, for I don't know how long. It's been years, man. I've been trying to get to you, man.
Well, first of all,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I ain't no bullshit ass nigga, so I'm getting straight to the point. What you did for me, what you did for Snoop, what you did for Death Row made history in hip-hop. And the reason why I'm saying that and saying you deserve your cigars because if it weren't for you, none of this would have took place. You was there from day one, number one. And if we wouldn't have beat that murder trial, that murder case for Snoop, I only had one song done, Doggy Style.
I remember.
And if Snoop would have went to prison, it wouldn't have been a Doggy Style. And it wouldn't have been a Dog Pound. it wouldn't even probably been an all eyes on me because it would have been a black cloud officially over me in death row. And I probably wouldn't even be able to get Pac out of prison to make all eyes on me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
you got the bread from Norris and Tubbs and all that shit, right?
No, man, I never got a penny from nobody, man. Nobody ever gave me any packages, no money, no nothing.
What? What about
Nothing.
Snoop?
Man, Snoop never gave me anything. Man. I haven't talked to Snoop. He hasn't reached out to me. I've never received a dime from anybody. Yeah.
And that's saying I take full responsibility and do what I can do now, even here. But look, so check this out, man. You know, it was 4 people in that car. You remember?
Yeah.
And 3 people went to trial. You remember?
I remember, man. We got what's his name dismissed and everything. I remember all of it. I remember.
Well, you know why the other person couldn't go to trial? Because he had started talking to the PI for the detectives, not the detectives, for the DA. But we ain't gonna say his name, but it was all bad. But anyway, let's take us back, man, because it's like this. You was there from day one. The very first time, first of all, you probably told everybody, and people probably know how you guys met. But at the same time, let's talk about the first video shoot.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Break that down to everybody.
I remember, man. We was it was a video shoot, and somebody had came to the trailer at that time. When he came to the trailer, I remember opening up the door. I think his name was I think his name was Jelly Loke. He said Jelly Loke is here to see Snoop. I remember closing the door, went back, told Snoop, I said, man, there's somebody named Jelly Loke here to see you. And he said, no, I'm good. I'm good. So I went back to the door. When I opened up the door, there was like 15 of them standing there. And I remember, man, I stepped down on the step, and when I think it was Jelly Loke, he came, and I fell back on the steps and trying to get back into it. It fell on my back. When I fell on my back, Jelly Loke got on top of me, and it was a wrap, man. You know, I just remember, punches, boom, 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 and he flew off. He just flew off me. It was like a movie. And when he flew off me, it was you. You got pulled him off me. And on that day, I remember, man, you saved my life. And then after that, it was like a fight fest. You know what I'm saying? So I remember that, man. And still to this day, man, you saved my life, and I remember that.
Shit.
And we got down that
Look,
night.
we got
down. We got down that night.
Yeah.
We did. We got out of there.
Did Snoop get his ass whooped too? It was on his ass too. Yeah.
I remember that, man. We got him out of there and got him in a limousine, got everybody out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when they was talking when they was asking for help, saying I was choking him out, killing him or whatever. But
I remember you broke
Snoop
your
got
hand.
his ass whooped.
You broke your left hand on that. Remember that? He was in a cast.
Snoop got his ass whooped. Yep. I had to knock the nigga out who was beating up Snoop.
I remember.
And the reason why that's important because after all that, we went to my neighborhood and we was in Aikens.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to you, and Snoop was with us, and we said we're gonna go back to Long Beach tomorrow and finish the video shoot. And they know we coming and we coming. And we went back and finished that video shoot. But when it's all said and done, we all had respect for each other. We all became friends, and we all did big shit. But at the same time, I think that incident triggered the shooting because a lot of people was clowning Snoop. Like saying he was a buster or he was a bitch because he didn't fight back. He got his ass whooped. All that extra shit. And I hate putting him down there like that because the past is the past. But when you guys was at the apartment, I know what happened. You know what happened. The best thing about all this is that you can tell the story. It's your story. But I know when I got the call, I got the Jeep, I got 4 firearms, and I knew the story. And when I had you guys at the hotel, the one off of Sunset.
That's where I was at. Yeah.
Yep. We're off the 405 in the cut, both of you guys. And when we had the conversation, I know when I came in one time, the lawyers was feeling like we couldn't win this case because the bullet that killed the guy was a 380. Snoop had a 380. You had a 9mm. And they said we can't beat this case. I said, well, I was telling the lawyers that, like, if you had a 380 and Snoop had a 9mm and the guy got killed with a 9mm, then we fucked. Because a 9mm can shoot 380 bullets. But a 380 can't shoot a 9mm bullet. So I want to know from you what really made you step up and say you had a 9mm shooting 380 bullets. What made you step up and claim that?
Well, the most important thing, but always was, the truth was what, was to set you free all the time, no matter what. And that's what I did. I did fight. I did do that. You know what I mean? And I did that. That's what it was. Regardless of anything. When we first came to this.
So hold up, Malik. So now you saying he got killed with a 9mm bullet, not a 380?
No. What I'm saying is I'm going back to the very beginning. I'm going back to the beginning, but when it was me and you. When me and you was like, no matter what happens, man, you make sure he protected. You make sure we protected all the time. So when y'all came to get me way back when, that's how that I'm talking before we even got into any situations. My word,
that
my
part's
body
true.
was that. That's what it was. So even with this case,
okay, what I'm trying to,
my
what I'm
job
trying to say is this,
is
Malik.
loyalty.
This is the thing. You are loyal, and you the best. I don't know too many people would do that. What I'm trying to say is this: only the truth. I know the truth. You know the truth. Snoop know the truth. We all knew the truth. The lawyers know the truth. The motherfucker got shot with a 380 bullet. You had a 9mm. You didn't have to step up and claim something you did not do, but you did. That's a man. I just want to know how you feel about it, and did you think you was gonna beat the case?
That was that was my job, man, was to do that. That was my job for everything at the particular time that we went through. My job was you. My job was the family. My job was, at that time, Snoop. My job, whatever I needed to do to protect. That's what it was. And so at that
Okay,
time,
well, did you think, was you willing to go to spend the rest of your life in prison for the family?
I was. There was no question.
I believe that.
There was no question.
So
I told you.
did you know you was gonna beat the case?
I knew God had a plan. I knew that. I knew that. I knew that, man. When I sat and with no bail for them 21 months before you came and got me, because you said you was going to give me bail. See, nobody really know that. I kept going through, there was no bail, but you said we're going to get you bail. You're going to get out. Remember that?
Yeah, of course.
So I did, you did give me bail. Nobody, I couldn't talk to Snoop at the time. I understand that. But I got a chance to talk to you one time, and you told me that. Every time we went back to court, denied. And I look at you, and I knew it was going to be a matter of time before you got me out. I wasn't worried about that. It was weird, man. I had a piece about.
Was that your first?
You know what I mean? I had a piece about
Hey,
the whole situation.
was that your first time being in the county jail?
First time being in the county jail, man. First time.
What'd you think about it when you first got in the county jail?
Man, it was crazy because of the situation. Everybody knew who I was. They already knew, the power of the case. And so when I got in there, man, I was a keep away. That was a keep away because of the high profile case.
Hey, Malik,
Yeah.
here's the thing. You know what I'm trying to know. I definitely go about code, and you go about a code. And it's like this. The reason why we can have this conversation because nobody can get in trouble for the truth. This case is the past. It's over. It can't be reopened. The criminal cases behind us. The civil cases behind us. So we can talk freely. So therefore, it's like this. Using the county jail, and we bail you out. But at the same time, I want you to really send a message to the younger generations about loyalty. And it's a difference between loyalty and being stupid. But you was loyal. And the truth is real good because a lot of people don't stand on it no more. I just want you to let the people know from your heart how you felt. Nobody can explain this but you. Well, you know for a fact. It's not trying to be tough. It's not trying to be weak. It's about being factual. You know for a fact that you took a case for a crime that you didn't do. You know in your heart that man died with a 380. You know in your heart Snoop had the 380. You know in your hand was a 9mm. There's no way that was your bullet. But you did the most honorable, bravest thing anybody possibly can do. So take us through that moment.
The most important thing, man, I want everybody to understand the difference between loyalty and what they think reality is this. And no matter what you understand, what you do in your life, everything is about a sacrifice, and you don't know what a sacrifice is. When you sacrifice something, you think you're giving up something in order to get something, and you're not. That's not what a sacrifice is. The sacrifice is when you give in order to give. And so, at that particular time, my life, and even now, my life has always been and always will be a sacrifice. I'm always going to give to give. So even in my heart of hearts, I know the truth. I knew really what happened. I knew everything. But it was about sacrificing for the greater cause at that particular time. Because I knew God was going to take care of me. I was always going to be taken care of no matter what. So everything that you go through in life, that's what it's about. It's about a sacrifice. And the truth is always going to set you free. Because no matter what, it was still self-defense, irregardless. So you have to understand, standing on business is being loyal. And what loyalty is understanding that no matter what, that's what a sacrifice is. You give in order to give.
Hey, Malik, let me tell you something. You can water it down much as you want to. You're a hero. Ain't no motherfucking truth to self-defense in California. You know why I know? Tell you something, Malik. Motherfuckers had a gun, and more than one gun. Tried to kill me. I get away. A motherfucker died by accident. I'm in prison, nigga. Ain't no fucking self-defense in California. Number one, I know this because I'm in prison right now. Number two, it was one gang member checking another gang member for being in their neighborhood. Y'all in another gang neighborhood, but y'all not from that gang. So naturally, when you in somebody else's neighborhood, they gonna bang on you, throw their shit up, and let you know they in you in that neighborhood. So when instead of squabbling up, when he decided to grab what he grabbed and go follow the dudes, whatever happened, that's gang shit. It's not self-defense. That's what the lawyers promoted.
Yeah, that's what they would do.
The lawyers did a great
Only.
the lawyers did a great job convincing a jury it was self-defense. The only reason why it was self-defense and it was believable because they looked at you as a stand-up young man.
Mm-hmm.
When they looked at you, they didn't see a gang member because you're not.
Mm-hmm.
They still seen a man of God.
Mm-hmm.
And someone probably really knew that there's more to the story. But at the same time, you're not giving yourself enough credit. And the credit, the fact is, I was in there right afterwards. I was in there with the lawyers and everybody. You know and I know. I was in there when Snoop was breaking down crying, tears away. It was an amazing thing that it don't make you look bigger or badder or worse. You still the hero no matter what.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
At the end of the day, shit, I'm not a lawyer, so and you're not a witness, so there's no judge that Jack can say leading a witness. It's just the fact that we have some real ass conversation between two men of God. The only thing I'm trying to get the people out there to understand your sacrifice. And reason why it's so important because you know you didn't shoot that man. You know it was a 380 bullet. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So what you did to Snoop is better than any person can do for anyone. I don't even think none of the homies would have did that. I don't even think his brother would have did that. His father wouldn't have did that. You did something for that man that no one person in the world would have did. So it bothers me to find out that you haven't talked to him since then. I knew that you was training for what? What you was training for, Malik?
I was training for the 1996 Olympic trials, man. Yeah.
Okay, stop right there. Your dream got destroyed because you saved his life. Correct?
Correct. That's true. That part is true.
So why? So when he was in the Paris Olympics, you know, dancing and switching and all that, you know, getting his groupie on. Why you didn't go over there with him?
Man, we didn't even talk, man. We never even talked. When I got out,
So why you didn't think? Listen, hold up. Why you didn't think call him up and say, look, man, you know I was training for the Olympics. It's a blessing you over there participating in the Olympics. Bring me over there with you, man. I just want to see those guys run in person. I want to see them break those records in person. Why you didn't ask him that?
I couldn't even get a hold of him. Still to this day, can't get a hold of him. So I mean, all of that.
You can't get a hold of Snoop?
Still can't get a hold.
Whoa, hold on, Malik. Hold on. You trying to tell me if you were to call Snoop right now, you can't get a hold of him?
I can't even get his number. I can't even get his number to get a hold of him to even have a conversation at all. I've been trying for 25, 30 conversation.
I feel bad for you, brother.
No, I don't feel bad for me because
at the end of the day, no, it's not like that. No, it's not. The reason why I feel bad for you because of this. He's not the only one that let you down. I let you down. I let you down because I depended on other people, and I was thinking they was looking out for you. I'm quite sure they was taking my bread, putting it in their own pocket. But at the same time, is that there's no excuses. whatever we do in life, we got to be accountable for. Now, I can't go back because I ain't God. I don't have a magic wand. I can't go back and change the past. But from this day forward, anything I can do and will do, I'm going to do to help you.
I appreciate it.
The younger generations out there is that I remember when, for arraignments, first day in court, all that, Snoop looked like a street punk or a wannabe gang member. And I had to tell the lawyers, he dressed like this, we're going to lose. And I had to get him suits made to fit him. If it was in any other person, first of all, but nobody else in that Jeep stand up and take a murder case to Snoop. Let's get that straight. Second of all, they didn't have a look to convince the jury that they was taking up for Snoop. The other guys looked like little gang members, scared to shoot a gun. You look clean cut, and you was a man, and a man of God, and they know you will protect someone. But once again, I keep saying it over and over again. For you to know that you didn't shoot that man or kill that man, but you put your life and your freedom on the line with Snoop. That is one of the most unheard of things in the world. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Now, what I'm trying to say is this now. You remember we was on the road? We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember.
And what I remember is this. What I like talking to you about, Malik, is this. It's still good to talk to a day one person who was actually there. You know, a lot of times people talk so much about Death Row, Tupac, me, everybody. Right? But the people who talk the most was not there. The people who do the most, I mean, like even a lot of these platforms that culture vultures where they don't like our people. But they get all these people on there and they give them something and they walk them through. Who makes them an expert if they weren't there? Who makes, like right now, if so many people talk about the Death Row history, some of them never met Tupac. Or if they met some of the Death Row artists, it's in passing. Or a selfie. Or you're in the room, but you're not really in the room because nobody gives a fuck. Because a lot of these motherfuckers, I ain't never seen no bitches on. I ain't never seen them posing a threat to no street niggas. I damn sure ain't never seen none of them all.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Give him a hug or a high five. You remember who all was on that tour when we went on tour?
Sure, man. I remember.
Hey, shout out, do that roll call. That's how you can tell who's really about Death Row.
Okay. It was Dre, it was Snoop, the Pound, RBX, Neck was with Heron was with us, Bunch was with us, it just goes on and on and on, man. Joel was with everybody. I remember.
Dog.
Yeah, Lip. Yeah, Lip was with us. Joel.
Hey, you remember that girl 37 we used to call 37?
I remember that. Oh, wow.
Hey.
Yeah, man. I remember that.
Hey, so look. Yeah, hey, look. Now, everybody Everybody got a favorite out of 37 except for me. But I'm
Not
going to put
me.
it like this.
Not me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Us two. Well, us two.
Yeah.
But everybody else got a favorite out of 37. Yes or no?
Yes, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
37 was a gangster bitch. Boy, I'm going to tell you something about 37. She did what she did for the team. You know what I mean? Some might got satisfied from the mouth. Some might got satisfied from wherever else, right? This ain't no freak off shit. This is people who were participating who were sober, right?
Yeah.
But look, after everybody had their fun with 37, and she went from room to room a lot of times, who stayed hugged up with a kissing on her?
How you remember all of that?
One member out of the dog pound.
Ooh, I remember, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you scared to say it, huh?
Yeah.
You don't want to go hard on you talking about you. You don't want to say it. You want me to say it, and you don't want to say it, huh?
Oh.
He know the truth. But what?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Hey, Malik, who stayed unhugged up with 37?
Oh, man. I'm trying to remember, man. Man.
All right.
I'm
Here it comes to you. I know you don't want to say it.
I'm trying to
The
remember.
guy at the dog pound up.
I remember. I'm
Yeah,
trying
we're going to leave that alone.
Ooh.
I know why you don't want to say it. You don't want that motherfucker stalking your page, huh?
All right, here you go. I ain't got no page.
Oh, well, you safe then. Anyway, we ain't going to put him out there like that. But this is the thing. After everybody had their turn and fun with, one particular member stayed with her and gave her kisses. Nasty kisses. Only person I give nasty kisses to is my bitch. Other than that, but anyway, so look, back to the facts, you know, and for helping people. So, when you was in the county jail, and you know, you're in there for killing a gang member, a Crip. You're not a gang member. So, did Snoop put money in your books to make sure you went to canteen, went to store?
Come on, man. That ain't happened. You already know. No?
So I know, but the people want to know.
No.
Did he put any money on your books to make sure you go get store?
No, not that I can remember. Not at all. I didn't even talk to him, man.
I mean, you can't remember, did he do it or not?
No, he didn't.
It's about you. All right, cool.
No, he didn't.
Did he send you a pretty ass bitch come up there and pull you out and visit behind the glass so you can?
Nah, man. None of that.
Okay.
Nah.
Well, look. Since Snoop, listen. Since he won't talk to you, but before we get to that, how did you really feel when it came time for the verdict? Either you was gonna get life in prison, or you was gonna go home.
Mm-hmm.
What was going through your mind? What was going through your mind?
Right before, so right before that happened, man, my sister, you remember my sister Ruth?
Yeah.
My sister, man, took me in the bathroom. They let her go in there with me. Took me in the bathroom. She said, you know, there's a chance that you might have home. I said, I already know. She said, you're going to be all right. God got you. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about them. And then when she left, Snoop came in there. And he told me this. He said, man, I got you. Don't even worry about it. We go through this, I got you. That was it. And I was numb. I felt numb. And when I went in there, when they read my verdict, you know, you can still hear my mama in the background. She was like, yes. And they told her, okay, keep the courtroom quiet. And that was it. We lost. That was it, man. I didn't hear nothing from him after that. There was no contact. There was nothing. Nothing.
So, how your family feel? Do they ever ask you like,
All the
how's
time.
Snoop doing and how y'all doing?
Yeah.
What you tell them?
I try to be honest with you, man. I try to downplay it so much. I've been downplaying it for all these years, you know, because I had to. You know, you have to understand, like, for me, everything, my whole life has been different. I didn't get a chance to, like, at that, what I thought now, I didn't get a chance to really do everything I was really supposed to do, you know, because I thought I had ambitions on doing this. And when, you know, y'all let me, I was training with Billy Blanks and we won a couple of championships and I was about to get ready to try the Olympic trials and get into the movies and all of that. That was the plan. But it never happened. I never heard from anybody. Never heard it from anybody. Couldn't get a hold of you. Couldn't get a hold of nobody. I was trying to find somebody. I felt like I was from
Yeah,
Snoop. I felt
you should,
deserted.
hey Malik, you should have wrote me one of those. You should have wrote me one of those letters in the penitentiary, nigga. Hey, but look, the reality of it is this, though. Look, the reality of it is this, right? You, the man, that made it possible for Snoop to be a great son to his mother. I love Snoop's mother. Beverly's a great woman. Rest in peace, Beverly.
Yeah.
You made it possible for him to be a great father, great husband. You made it possible for this man to have an incredible life. On one hand, you gave the man everything. On the other hand, at that time, you lost everything. You lost your dreams. You lost your career. You lost everything. But God has a way to always come back to save us. He might not always come when we want him to come. But God is never late.
Never.
Now, I know you're doing music now. I know you're doing the great things now. But now it's your turn. And it's really great that you got your opportunity to express yourself through your work. But also is that I think you should forgive Snoop because you're a godly man. And I know it's probably coming crazy for me because I don't fuck with him like that. But I think you should forgive him because you're a bigger man than him. You did something he wouldn't do for no one else. He wouldn't even save his own motherfucking self, let alone someone else. So forgive him. I have. But you don't got to forget, Malik. Remember what you did. Remember who you are. Remember what you did. But more importantly is this. You think Snoop will have a conversation with you now?
I think so, because it's like this. I forgave him a long time ago. And what I want you to know is that everything that you instilled in, see, what you don't realize is what you did from the very beginning. You brought two sets together that's never been done in history to make music. You got to understand that. You brought you brought the Bloods and the Crips together to make music. That's never been done together. You fed us. So the work ethic and everything that you put in us is there. So for me, like I told, like for me, man, not to do and not to give back when I have the opportunity, I can't do that. I won't do that. So I forgave him a long time ago. I forgave everybody a long time ago. Because my life is not mine. I died a long time ago. So everything that I have right now, God preserved me for this time, for this day right now. So the hope and the inspiration that I'm putting into people is because it's about a sacrifice. I got to keep giving and giving and giving. You gave me a chance. You gave me a job. I told you a long time ago when we first met, I was going to do my job. And I did my job.
Hey, Malik, you knew Kevin Black, right?
Yeah, I knew Black. Black, we were working at the together.
Black was a motherfucking DJ. Yeah. Right or wrong, right?
Right.
I gave Black an opportunity to be in the music business, and he had no experience ever been in the music business.
No, I was working. He was working side by side with me.
Did Black have any experience of being in the music business that you know of?
None, other than spinning records as a DJ.
I gave Black a position to be in the music business. Bought him a Mercedes. Bought him, gave him suits, and gave him a career in the music business.
I remember
One
that.
of the things what people don't know, people don't know, you day one.
They won.
We all was close. We all was close. We all worked hard together. We all had each other's back. We all did what we did. But also is this. We worked hard, everyone. We worked hard to get the respect for the West Coast, hip-hop, gangster rap, basically. And we took gangster rap mainstream by Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't walk into a party or walk into Interscope or Epic or any of these companies, and they rolled out the red carpet, and they wanted to say we was the best, greatest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
When I first played G-Thing for Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, John McClain, they thought it was garbage.
Yeah.
We had to make it blow up first. But outside of all that,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
they know the gold, the diamonds, the look. They don't know the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Death Row, we didn't start off rich. Only person who's bringing some money to that shit is me. We wasn't rich.
Yeah.
Nobody gave us no motherfucking money. Did you ever see big cash running around from all these motherfuckers want to say they gave cash and drug money to Death Row? Did it look like we had drug money when we first started?
No, we didn't, man.
Or even after we started?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever see anybody that's got all this millions of dollars of drug money? Or did you see motherfuckers pushing the line up there and I got to push that line to these motherfuckers at these distribution companies and make them cut those motherfucking checks?
That's what we did.
Checks down and feed every motherfucking
That's
line.
what we did, that part. That's what we did.
Have you ever went with Snoop anywhere to pick up a check?
No.
Did we have checks for people to get paid,
Come on now.
to eat? So at the end of the day, it's easy to lie. You got motherfuckers that be talking to Rick Ross and say they gave money for Death Row. You got this motherfucker over here say he gave money for Death Row. You got this motherfucker.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
You got motherfuckers con the game so much, they even walk up there and shake their ass to the President of the United States with a lie.
Mm.
Michael Harris.
Mm-hmm.
So, Death Row meant something more than just a name. It was built for a family.
Yeah.
Now, you have each and everybody making a claim on something that they know nothing about. Hey, Malik.
Yeah.
I check this out, Malik. I'm going to get at you some real shit right now. So, we're not going to mention the fourth person in the Jeep because, you know, he sat down and told the whole script, the truth, to the PI for the DA. So, you know, motherfucker had to sit down and throw some money around and get that plane. So we're not going to make no one look bad. But in that Jeep, Snoop, you, Sean Dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we're not going to mention the fourth person. But
Mm-hmm.
I know the answer, but the people out there who don't know the answer, it's for the sake of the truth. Do you got $1 million or $5 million in the bank right now from Snoop?
No, I should have, but that's no, not a penny from Snoop in the bank.
Okay. Did he give you $1 to put in the bank?
Not $1, not a quarter, not 50 cents, not 20 cents, not a dime.
So he didn't even give you enough for a piggy bank, huh?
Not even nothing.
Okay. Is Sean Dogg a millionaire?
Hmm.
He didn't give him shit either.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys who gave him life, in return and paid everybody back, well, fuck you figure.
Yeah.
Now, Snoop, I owe you apology. You know why? I thought you was just a cold piece of shit ass, bitch ass nigga when you did some slick shit to me. And I still tried to find a way how to like you. But after thinking how you did Malik and Sean Dog, I shouldn't be mad. Better yet, it's a guy from Long Beach. When I talked to him, before I asked him how he doing, I asked him how his mother's doing. Because he's my brother. We don't got the same mother and father, but we're close. Style, big style.
Mm-hmm.
Malik, you know, there's not one thing the big style wouldn't do with Snoop,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
He didn't buy him a house. He didn't give him shit. I ain't gonna say he didn't give him shit, but he didn't give him nothing that he deserved. This not about well, we gotta put people down. Because it's a bigger part of us as men. As big, strong black men, godly men. Malik,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see you and Snoop have a conversation. And it'd be good if I can be privy to that conversation. I think the world will want to hear you guys have a conversation.
I would be willing to do that. Definitely.
Anything that's done wrong can be made right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite sure him and his crew always listen before anyone else. So
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Snoop, we know you're listening. So Malik,
I'm here.
tell him to come have a conversation with us. Tell Snoop to
Man.
come have a conversation with us.
Look, man, I've been trying to get at you for years, Snoop. So I'm here. I would love to sit down with you, man, sit at the table, have a real discussion about things, man. I think it's time, it's well needed and well appreciated, man. So
I know.
I think it's time for that.
All right. Hey, yeah, my bad for cutting you in. You know, motherfuckers are always devils never sleeps. They said they want me at the clinic. You know what I mean? But look, the bottom line is this, right? So you know what it is. You need to owe this man a conversation. And at the end of the day, we can build from this.
Sure can.
Yeah, I mean, Lee, let's talk about your music. You know, what inspired you to do music?
Man, well, I grew up in the choir just like, we all did. But then when I came to California, I was playing ball, then I started bodyguarding, got with you, and when after the case, God had just started downloading into me, man, music. And I just was hearing things, and I started recording and recording and recording. And it's me. That's what I was born to do. I was born to be on stage and performing, and I'm not talking about just rapping on stage. I'm talking about my speaking and the things that I've been through in my life, and that's what I do, you know. And
Hey,
also, shit,
Malik,
you know, I'm a
you're a
boy.
motivation.
I'm a
Hey,
master.
look, Hey, look, Malik, you're a motivation speaker, bro. But check
I
this
am.
out.
I got my degree. I'm a board
Now,
certified master life coach.
hey,
That's what I do.
man, praise the Lord. Hey,
I got
Malik,
a, I
check
got,
this shit
man, I
out.
got a company called True Vision. That's
Hey,
what I do. I'm motivational speak all over the
that's
country.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's what we
Malik,
do.
so look at this, though, right? So listen to this, man. You're a winner, number one. So now, since you the star, and you got the bodyguard no more, so ain't no use in me asking you, do you want your gun back, huh? Because you don't need that nine back, do you? I might know somebody that knows somebody know where it's at. hey, you know, you
Oh,
know.
that's funny.
Hey, Malik,
Yes, sir.
on a positive note, right? So let me
Yeah.
ask you this.
So,
Because she was really there, you know what I mean? So how would you describe Big Style?
solid, man. Big
All
Style
right.
was solid when I was
How
there.
how would how would you describe Hendo?
Come on, man. Solid.
Did you ever talk to like have any one-on-ones with Jake or Buntry or anybody
Yeah,
with some of
come
them?
on, man. It was my family, man. I love Jake. I love Bunchy. I love everybody, man. Lip. Those were my dogs. That was me. They held me
Aaron,
up. Heron, they
what
held
you
me up all
hey
the
what you hey what you and Jake talk about? Big Jake was the
Man,
one. What
Big
y'all
Jake would
talk
always
about a
tell
lot?
me, man, he would tell me, man, you know what? You straight up like 12 o'clock, man. You're a good dude, man. Something about you. There's something about you, man. Should love you. Know that. That's why you with her. Should love you, but you straight up like 12 o'clock. Jake used to tell me that all the time. All the time. It sounds just like him, don't it?
Yep. What about Corrupt?
Yeah, man. Corrupt, man. When I was there, Corrupt, I didn't really get a chance to really get into Corrupt too much, but Corrupt was tight. Corrupt was real, you know. But I didn't. I was so busy at that time. Then you had me on Snoop. I was so busy with that detail working, making sure we was in the lab working. You know, that was the main focus at the time, and you made sure that. So that's what we did. You know, I made sure he was working, and we were getting
Yeah.
everything done. You know, but yeah,
So
even
hey Malik, how do you feel like when you be hearing a lot of people have these stories about their death row stories, right? So how do you feel when you know they're not true?
I can't. I
What
mean,
type of shit you be hearing? You know how some people say they was there and you never see them there, or you never
never
see them
seen him there.
inside the studio.
Yeah,
You know, see,
as far
I gotta be, hey Malik, I don't want this conversation to turn uh, left because the reason I'm saying that because it's a lot of times I be talking about shit that I really had conversation with people. And
mm-hmm.
some people will think that I'm shooting at them. Like I got them in a part of this conversation. But when I'm talking about me, I can just talk about my own motherfucker self. I don't got to
Mm-hmm.
talk about the next nigga.
Yeah,
So a lot of times people think I'm shooting at them, but I'm not. Or when I'm talking about death row, I'm talking about the real death row, us.
mm-hmm.
So whatever anybody else on, I'm not on. And men should never be sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
If you that motherfucker sensitive, you gotta start checking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Always know. Bitches got issues. Niggas have problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just why I say I don't wanna go too far down women lane because when people get left out they wasn't there, some people Photoshop themselves in, they wasn't in there. Or, you know how
Yeah.
it goes. But one thing we do know, if we had a roll call, shit, how many motherfuckers got death row wives, death row bitches, and death row kids? If
Man,
it wasn't for death row, I don't think it would have been going.
For real.
Yeah.
Real talk.
But look, back to some old shit. It's like, do you feel that
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
before we hung up, you know, my family, my mother loved everybody involved in Death Row, all the artists, everyone. And you know, sometime where as life has different turns and prison terms and everything else, a lot of times people ask, well, why would any of those dudes didn't try to help you when you was in court? I never held it against no one because I look at it like this. If you're a man, you can do manly things, do as a man should do. That's all I respect for a man to be is a man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a man and you tell us you got bitch ways, I'm not mad if you act like a bitch because you already told me you got bitch ways. But for me, if I could turn back the hands of time, I still would. When I met with the PI for the DA and he played that tape recorder. Now, this is another thing. Even though me and Sharita never was a really couple, we knew each other when we was young, and anytime I was with her, she had a couple of boyfriends, and I had 100 bitches. You know,
Mm-hmm.
at that time, I didn't understand. It took me now to find out I could have one to do the same thing that 1,000 couldn't do. It's crazy. I can have one motherfucking bitch can do something that 1,000 bitches couldn't do. So that's why I have one now. But back to her, she did something for Snoop was incredible. I don't know if they cool, they not cool. I know she might lie on some shit. Man, nobody's perfect. But I know if it weren't for her, knowing that PI, it came and met with me and played me that recording that the other guy gave those statements, there's no way we would have beat that case. It cost me $750,000. And I accept that. Best thing I could have ever did. And the fact that you took that case to Snoop knowing he shot the man, you said you shot the man and set him free, I accept that. Best thing a man can do for another man. Even though I gave him a career and made him who he was, I accept that. But if I had to do it all over again, I would do everything the same before he can have his freedom, before he can have a career, before he can take care of his family.
Yep, me too. Everything would be the same now.
And that's being said, if God don't give me nothing else in life, I always appreciate God for making me a man. Because a man gonna get somewhere and be somebody and do something. I'm the same man if I'm on the streets or I'm in prison. I'm still gonna do what I do to make myself a better man. This is a real honor to talk to you because you did something for me, for culture, hip hop, for Death Row, Snoop. The world can never say thank you enough.
When Snoop and the Dog Pound trailer got shot up in New York, how did you and Pac find out?
Well, we was in the studio. Me and Pac was in the studio, and doing music. So when they called the studio, and we cut the music off, put it on speaker, and they was like, we can tell it was a problem because shit, Snoop really was being Michael Jackson on that phone call. It was like it wasn't none of the, it wasn't no toughness about it. We was concerned about him because we can hear it in his voice, the way he was sounding. And they was basically telling us, they just shot their trailer up because they was out there filming and New York motherfuckers tripping. So when they said that immediately, before we even had a conversation with them, I told them we'd call them right back. So I called some of the homies out there to make sure they pull up and make sure they were straight. Then we called them back and told them, people was on their way. But besides that, that's when Pac took things in his hands. Pac was like, fuck all that. Motherfuckers out there, because they in New York, they trying to, kill the homies and shot the trailer all up, right? So Pac went to that point to saying, who in here from the East Coast? Raise your hand. And then somebody raised their hand, he'd go over there and smack the shit out of him. Smack! Who else in here? And one dude said, well, I ain't saying shit. When he said that, I was like, oh, that's a bad look. Now it's just Pac on him. A few motherfuckers got on him, right? So it was a real situation of
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
everybody having their back and really going in, supporting them.
I know I did an interview with Napoleon from the Outlaws, and he was telling me that, Snoop, he was dissing Big with Pac. You know anything about that?
Yeah. I mean, he definitely did some songs talking greasy about him, super greasy. And then after that shit happened, before is when the trailer got shot up. I mean, I think they probably hated Biggie 100 times more than Pac hated him. Yeah, they motherfuckers, they really was on fuck Biggie type of shit. Because I think it was embarrassing. It's one thing the motherfucker trying to kill you. It's another thing you and your feelings and you call the motherfuckers. And you can tell motherfuckers. It's a different sound when a motherfucker's scared and spooked. And the way Snoop was rambling, only time I ever see a motherfucker sound like that is when either they got their ass whipped real bad, or they're about to get their ass whipped real bad, or somebody was about to do something to them worse, because it's a certain sound, a certain trembling in a person's voice when it's going to go bad, right before it go bad. And that was those niggas that night. So that's been said. Pac was if it was 1 to 10, he was at a 10 with Snoop. If Pac would have had a gun on him, Snoop would have been a dead man. That's why he pushed on him the way he pushed on him and got at him the way he got at him, because you got to imagine, Pac went from 0 to 1,000 all behind Snoop and the dog pound, but mainly Snoop. Pac really had a lot of love for Snoop. I'm talking about that was his motherfucking brother. Everybody was brother. It was a family. So he out on bail, but he sacrificed his freedom, fucking motherfuckers up in that studio behind Snoop. And he know they did songs together and talking about those dudes. So when he turned around and go to the the radio station, and Pac hear with his own ears that he's saying basically, fuck Pac, that's Pac on that bullshit, he'll fuck with him, he'll fuck with him, he'll fuck with any of those dudes, and whatever they did to Pac, basically, fuck Pac. So Pac, one, couldn't believe it. Two, that's the worst way any person would stab you in the back. So that started a war that was never going to end unless people got together. And, when you're forced to be reckoned with and a motherfucker can't do it by himself, they got to recruit him, or they got to pay for him, and that's why things ended the way they did. At the end of the day, I don't think. I think Biggie and Snoop was all right, but they never was close no way. Now Pac and Biggie was like brothers. Snoop and Biggie was shit. They used to always say crazy shit about Biggie, but Biggie always extended his hand. Like we'd be in New York somewhere, and he'd go get in a limo with them and smoke with them. And then once we leave out there, I'd be like, man, we get that motherfucker smell like shit. He got the whole limo stinking. He even drowned out the weed. So I don't think they never was close like him and Pac was close. You know, it was always, you know, not really on the same side, you know.
So they was making comments about Big Odor?
Yeah. It was like shit. Biggie smelled like shit.
When Snoop made the comments he made on Hot 97, right, about how he didn't have beef with Big and Puff and they was his friends, he always said that when he got back on the plane with you and Pac, he had a knife and a fork underneath his blanket just in case y'all did something to him. From your point of view, can you break that situation down?
Well, the truth about it is this. Number one, Snoop did not treat his people that great. It ain't the fact that you gotta look at it like this. When we went places or we was on the next level type of shit or even vacation type of shit.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
If a person worked for Death Row and didn't have a Death Row chain, you know they went vacationing with us. You know they went on a private plane with us. That's number one. Number two, if you was the artist and Snoop and Pac and those guys didn't feel you weren't valuable enough to make the cut, they didn't go on vacation with us or on a private plane with us. Snoop, I had love for Snoop, so therefore I will respect his call. When we went to Belize on a private plane, Snoop could have brung gas, he could have brung he could have brought anybody on a dog pound if he wanted. Nobody's not going to say no. He chose not to bring him. And nobody brought security or runners, assistant. We go and enjoy ourselves. So at the end of the day, nobody never would tell, and you know, shit. Big Style, me and him is tight. And anytime Snoop would want him to go, I would love to always have him go. If he don't be on the plane, because Snoop didn't bring him on the plane. If the dog pound wasn't there, because Snoop didn't bring him on there. At the end of the day, after that interview, everybody knows anybody. No. And I'm not talking about the people who speak on Tupac who never met Tupac in person, who never worked for Death Row, who never been around Death Row. I'm not talking about those people who's been lying. I'm talking about the real people, the day ones. Everybody knows what Pac did to Snoop and how Pac was getting on Snoop. Snoop cannot say he didn't ride in the van with the luggage. When you leave in the hotel and you go into the private plane, you're gonna have a van full of everybody's luggage. Everyone else gonna be in a limo. Now, there's no room in that van because it's packed with luggage. Snoop decided to get inside the van with all the luggage cramped all up. I even told him, you making you look bad and us look bad. Get in this limo, man, we gotta go. His thing was, Pac crazy as a motherfucker. He ain't gonna be in no limo and Pac beating him up. So therefore, that tell you the temperature right there. And do you really think he gonna try to swing on Pac, stab Pac?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Stab Pac with a knife with everybody on the planet who fucked with Pac? Man, stupid guy. He only went what? Like the Scarecrow. He'd have got his back broke, his neck broke, if he'd have stabbed Tupac. That's not true. And he never been gangbanged on Pac. If he was that comfortable, if it wasn't no slick shit, Snoop would have been at the fight and at the club. That simple. Out of all the things, all the events, you a no-show. You didn't come. I had to make you come to the Loserville. I call Loserville Vegas. And you claimed you went to go see Pac. And if you did, but it took a week, that makes no sense. Lie after lie after lie. See, what you got to remember is that I push loyalty and love with the Death Row family, with me, the artists, everyone, one for one and one for all. So it's never a situation where we're at the point where we're saying, fuck each other like that. This is the first time something like that ever happened. And when that happened, it was only because somebody disrespected somebody in the circle. When we hung out, what we did, when we had fun, it was always loyalty and love. And it was never no security there. It was never no outsiders there. It was the family there. And one of the reasons, when even if you were act Malik, and I don't know if he answered it, I know he answered it before, but you got to remember one thing. It was so family orientated with everyone that when the lawyers asked Andre, he got to get on the stand for a character witness for Snoop, he said no, he wouldn't do it. They said, well, his life might depend on it, him going to prison or not going to prison. Andre said, buddy, you better cancel it. If it depends on me, he's going to prison for life. When Pac heard that, that's when Pac started changing. When that verdict came in and we won, I took everyone to Monty's. I mean, even before we got upstairs, everybody partied. We had music playing all downstairs, everywhere. People was dancing downstairs. Got upstairs inside Monty's. We probably had, I don't know, if they had 50 bottles of Cristal or 1,000 bottles of Cristal, might have been 1,000 bottles. Bought them all. If we didn't drink them all, people were leaving out with bottles of Cristal. Every person partied. So therefore, the loyalty was there. So when Snoop did that to Pac, that was part of the separation in the end of Death Row. Because once Pac died, once that happened, it was straight down the middle. Some on this side, some on that side. When Pac died, it was over. Actually, before he died, once Pac heard Snoop said what he said in that radio interview, that's when the separation came. A lot of people want to go online and say, well, Pac wanted to leave Death Row, he hated Death Row. That's not true. Pac wanted to stop fucking with those niggas. He said, we don't need them. We doing this, we doing that, we doing this. They snakes. Period. And Pac was on some shit like, we can change Death Row into the Row. We don't need Death no more. Death's those weird ass niggas. So a lot of people was going on and speaking on this type of situation for to hide something or to make themselves look important. But once again, a lot of people who speak on Pac, I ain't never talked to about Pac to an outsider. So you know I didn't talk to Pac about an outsider who wasn't on Death Row or part of the family. You talking about people who will speak on Tupac They couldn't tell you if Pac had bad breath or was musty. They never met the man. And if they worked for Death Row, well, not directly with Death Row, if you was a employee of Death Row, you couldn't tell if Pac had rough hands or soft hands because you never got close enough to even shake his hand because you was just a fucking employee. So when it was all said and done, that drew the line in the sand. It was separate. Snoop knew one fucking thing. Once it was over, I don't care how many songs you did with Pac. I don't care how many times you talked real bad about Biggie. You came and stabbed Pac in the back. And Pac was not going to stop. Machiavelli wouldn't have stopped until he broke Snoop's jaw and knocked his teeth out of his motherfucking mouth. At the end of the day, when it was all said and done, he couldn't sleep or rest unless he didn't have to deal with that problem. Pac was a problem for him for the rest of his life. Besides that, the love is still there, but it never was respect. Because a real man doesn't use respect, the word respect. This is like, I love everything about my own mother. I didn't have respect for my mother. You don't have respect for nobody because the word respect means it's always respect. But it's not true. If I didn't have respect for my mother, I wouldn't be sneaking girls in the house when I was young, living with my mother, fucking them, having sex with them. I wouldn't be doing the things I was doing. But what's more important than respect is loyalty, trust, honor. So when Pac didn't have honor for Snoop, or loyalty to Snoop, or trust to Snoop, Pac was not going to let up. Every time he seen Snoop, he was going to get on his head. Snoop knew this. But for him doing anything or saying any slick shit to Pac, never happened. Never would have happened. Period.
Hey, Suge, if you don't mind me asking, right, respectfully, you getting knocked out. Can you give me the backstory behind that? Because I never heard you speak on it.
Well, look, the bottom line is this. I know it, he know it, everybody know it. What really happened is this. As you know, I'm leaving the club, getting ready to get in my truck. It was one of the homies, it was this B-Day, two of the homies was up there, and one of them had words with the food at the club, outside the club. He fired him. They start fighting. So, first I was going to you know what? This stupid shit, let it go. But at the same time, motherfucker had a few shots of his own. So, and it's all on camera. Boys, I'm quite sure you've seen the footage of motherfucker socking that nigga, kicking him or whatever happened. He went down. Right or wrong, right? Okay. After that, I took the homies go get their car. I'm going to leave. The dude running across the street comes running back with an iron. What do you know with the metal thing you change the lugs with? When I seen him before in front of the valet dudes, motherfucker cracked me with it. I ain't Superman. I ain't none of that type of stuff. I'm human. Naturally, a motherfucker hit you with an iron lead thing, you gonna go down. But I didn't feel the need to have to explain that to nobody, say that to nobody, because it is what it is. You got at me, next time I'm going to get at you. That's how we do it. But if you notice, you didn't see not one person hit me. How could you see everything else, but then they don't show that part? Not only that, when I did get hit with the fail, it was another motherfucker kicking me. I didn't say shit. But when the homies ran back over there, they take off running. No big deal. I leave. I go to the motherfucking shit. I go get a staple in the back of my head. I cut
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
on the back. The police came and tried to talk to me. I went and talked to them, so they put my tire on the flat. How they knew I was there? Because the person who was with me evidently told them. They was like, look, we got the footage of what he hit you with. I said, no, you don't. You want to see it? I don't got to see shit. Nigga, I ain't pressing no charges. I don't got nothing to say. Got some air in my tire. I left. This dude know that was like one of the biggest PC moves you can do. I knocked him out, I knocked him out, I knocked him out. Basically saying if something happened to me, arrest him, arrest him, arrest him. I did what I did. He knew it and I knew it. But when it was all said and done, they talked to the valet motherfuckers. They were like, yeah, eat him with the tire wrench when you take the tires off the iron thing. That's that. I didn't feel like I had to prove myself to nobody verbally. And the only reason why it's a big deal, because I don't lose. Anybody can lose, though. But I'm going to get my run back. If you ain't going to give my run back, nigga, I'm spitting on you in front of the police. We're going to do it, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it. I'm quite sure whatever meant to happen, happened. So that's neither here or there, you know. One thing about me, I stand on the truth. You can check my whole motherfucking C-file from prison. I know motherfuckers want to say I got ran off the yard. Never got ran off the yard. Never PC'd up, never rolled it up. Never will. Don't have nothing to prove. Never will have anything to prove. But you can tell by my character, I'm not that type. Because the people who talking, damn sure can't come up in here. The people who's talking is a PC on the streets. They don't go nowhere. You don't see them enjoying themselves. You don't see them at clubs. You don't see them at events. And if you do see them, they getting chased. One thing for sure, you cannot look at anything from the past to the time I got arrested that you didn't see me at all the hottest clubs. And majority of the time I'm by myself or a bitch or two. Or all the different spots in the ghetto. All the best restaurants. People got access to me because I'm out there. This is my city. I'm about that life. When people turn around and say, oh, he was sleeping on the couch, it's never in the life. But if I was sleeping laying on the couch, it's because I'm partying with the homies all night and got a bitch or two and a motherfucker taking the power now before we go. But ain't no bounty hunters, nobody else got me nowhere. Well, I bowed it down and turned it down, and I ain't knocking them. It's just I'm not that type of nigga. So everybody who's doing all the talking is motherfuckers who got robbed in my neighborhood. They know. I don't gotta say their names. Never happened to me. Or the motherfucker who talking who cannot go nowhere. And when you look at all this, you gotta be real careful because the person, I'm not gonna say his name, but that's still my brother. The person who in custody right now, fighting for his life, is people that says so much about that man ended up in handcuffs. And the same person, Snoop, that man been there for you, kept you, and y'all supposed to be friends, or you supposed to be big crippin', you talk to a person supposed to be his enemy every day. And you the same person, once it happens, saying you putting bread up for attorneys and helping. I hope you keep your word, because he did a lot of things for you. He the one took Nick to the studio to holler at you and be cool, even though he had to check you because you said that you just went over there. So all this extra little shit that everybody talk is still the same thing. Words is nothing but alphabets. And people can take those alphabets and make them say anything they want to. And if my life has changed. I'm going to be 60 years old. I done did everything on my own besides the help of God. The people who know me, that really know me, ain't going to have nothing bad to say about me. But these people who I never really met and really don't know, that never worked for death row, never was around death row, when people turn around and say, well, when you was in prison, the numbers was better. Impossible. The crazy thing about it, when Snoop, Andre, Tupac, Outlaw, Dog Pound, Jewel, Nate Dogg, the list goes on. How is it that the security bill was higher when those artists were doing shows and stuff than when they wasn't? How is it that security bill was higher when nobody was in the fucking studio? Impossible. But I tell you what, I ain't trying to get off track here, but at the same time, one thing I don't play with, that's trying to spit at my money. So, my mother didn't need no money to buy a barrier, but a whole bunch of soft motherfuckers threw money in. The only thing I ever asked a motherfucker to do is go to my mother's funeral and take pictures. My mother was a loved woman who had close to 500,000 people at her funeral. But when everyone has a conversation about something, what's the need of talking about it? Whatever the situation is, you know, whoever run their mouth about my mother or Pac or playing these games, that's a conversation for two men sitting over half. So if you so right, you so tough, you standing on facts, no matter if I get out tomorrow or when I come home, we can sit down and have a conversation in that room. But it's not a fair conversation if Tupac dead and you want to talk about the man. It's not a fair conversation. Fuck being fair. You're a weirdo if you got to talk about a man who's in prison. You know what I mean? Because what difference does that make? I'm getting my life better. That's it. That's all. But, yeah, they can say what you want about those situations, and don't bother me. But I'm always there. I always show up.
Wow. Yeah, I ain't know that. So they used the weapon.
Of course. But I'm not saying it to make me look better or worse. And the fact is this. Why nobody never showed the footage? You show the footage of him getting his ass whooped. Why you never show the footage of him hitting me? It's the same camera, same surveillance cameras they had at the club, the same people filming. Why not? Do that seem odd? I mean, because how could you show everything else but you don't show that? But me being me, even if somebody do win one, we're going to keep running it till I win one. That's just how I go. One thing about me, I ain't never been a runner. I ain't never been a coward. But I've never had nothing to prove. Being intelligent to be a businessman, which I am a businessman. And I would feel like if I was a man, the only way I can get views or get people attention or get any deals or get any people to listen to me, I gotta talk about the next nigga who built something. If you gotta talk about me and therefore and Tupac, that means you not shit. If you gotta talk about my company I built instead of what you did in life, that means you not shit.
I always heard this rumor that years before Tupac signed with Death Row, you tried to sign him?
I mean, definitely, because you gotta remember one thing. Pac always been the type of artist or a type of man that had all the potentials in the world. I always think he's probably one of the best artists around, you know. he the one wrote Gin and Juice first. He didn't put it out, but he was saying that first, Gin and Juice. So we all knew that, right? And Interscope didn't want him. They hated him. I mean, literally pretty much hated him. I wouldn't say hated him like this because he was black. They just thought he was the type of artist that was too militant. Pac could come in here one day and say, he'd walk in the office and say, how's the White Devils doing, shit like that. I remember we was playing football at Jimmy's house one Sunday, and Pac called me. We all sitting there. He's like, man, let's link up. What you doing? I'm like, man, we just got through playing football. I'm in Malibu, and then Jimmy he just jumped up and he wasn't saying it, but you can read his lips. Don't tell him where I live at. Don't tell him where I live at. They was terrified of Pac. So that made me feel like hip hop is about expressing yourself. That made me I really wanted to do business with him because he was special. I think by far Pac was the best artist of all times. So definitely wanted to do that. When I went to go business, it was just about helping.
Right. So that rumor is true then, that the Gin and Juice idea came from Pac.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody know Pac, they know Pac. That's the type of shit Pac be on. Pac gonna talk about what he know, what he do. Pac the first one brung blunts to Death Row, to my artists. They smoked zigzags. If you notice, Snoop always talked about zigzags and all of them. Pac the first one said, shit, this was up with the blunts right here. He was splitting the blunts and piping the weed with the blunts, the swishers. So Pac was always ahead of his time, always by far.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Pac was intelligent. A lot of people probably don't realize it, but Tupac was a smart man. Tupac had the vision, not only just to help himself, but to help others. So that's always was a plus when you look at that. Like I said, if I took him somewhere to do anything for the kids or the hospitals, I didn't have to twist his arm. I say, hey, I'm going to go to the hospital and give out toys to the kids. Let's go. I'm going to the hood to do some stuff for the kids. Let's go. Everybody else, you got to pretty much persuade them. Try to, force them or make them go. Pac was in a class by himself. Definitely loyal. Probably one of the most loyal persons I know. I know that he tried to give David Kenner a fair chance to be loyal to him because David brought me inside the prison to help me get Tupac out of prison. And Pac was one of the first guys saying, hey, because I was telling you before, he's a criminal attorney, but don't use it for an entertainment attorney. And he wanted to give him a fair chance because he got me in there to go visit him in prison. But at the end, Pac fired him real aggressively, called him white devils and called him stealing. So when Pac sued me, which not Tupac, but when the state sued me, I was in prison. I had no idea I was getting sued by them or saying anything. I had no lawyer, no nothing. And one of the things was that everybody wanted to settle because David Kenner had stole so much money from Tupac. And it showed, and the receipts was there. And I remember questioning all that. I remember catching Steve Cantrop and Gelfand, was one of the biggest, by far the biggest, accounting firm in the music industry. And when I was using them, they couldn't sign a check, nothing over $5,000. And they they were stealing millions of dollars from me and death row and artists. And when I caught them, I was saying, well, I'll be going to prison. And 1,000% sure, they had me go to prison. And the thing about all this, I could have showed up and fought the Tupac case and showed that we didn't take $1 from him. I overpaid him. And if anybody didn't like that, we could have went about that bullshit Interscope contract. But the lawyers didn't settle it when I was in prison, the fact that they knew what they was doing illegal. And you know, when you look at it, it's a lot of racist people in the industry. And even when it came to the point now, I think back how the stuff I did to make sure Snoop didn't go to prison, or this person didn't go to prison. And most attorneys wouldn't put people on the stand when they know they're lying. David was a good lawyer because he allowed a witness to lie. He'd take a witness out the car, out the situation. They'd be looking for him. He'd say, nope, it wasn't him. He'll hold the guns. He'll do everything illegal that he is to do to be illegal. And I'm saying it now, and people are saying, why are you saying it now? And you weren't saying it when he was doing stuff for you. Definitely wasn't, because he was doing the stuff for my artists. And he would deserve a pat on the back. But when you turn around and get street wars, we won the street wars. There was wars before because I thought people was lying when they said that they gave David some money. I just go snatch David and take him to a motherfucker. It's an action. And David like, well, I didn't give him any money, but you gave us money for me and this other person, but we didn't do nothing with Suge Knight. So a lot of things happened in those days that was so fast and aggressive, because for me, it was about being a businessman and being about the people and helping the people. I was giving my artists stock in death row that no one else can get that. I'm quite sure nobody's doing that now. They didn't have ownership, but they had stock. So if I would have sold death row for $500 million, $700 million, they would be able to cash in every last one of them. I think those things is important, especially today.
Very important. But Suge, I want to ask you, because I've been hearing people speak on this for years. Is it true that, Pac and Mary J. Blige was messing around? You know anything about that?
Normally, I would decline to answer that because you got to remember one thing. I love Mary. Mary always have and always will be. I look at her as a sister. I mean, her mother is an incredible person. Kanye, her sister, is incredible, But Mary and Pac was really good friends. The only reason why I'm willing to say this is because I don't think they're putting Mary down by telling the truth about her and Tupac's relationship. And Mary would be in my high rise and we'll be sitting there talking and Pac would be like, what you doing? And we'll be talking. Next thing you know, Pac coming over. And we all would talk. And they was all close. And Jodeci, I love that group. I love it individually. For Devontae and KC, JoJo. Well, I heard KC had pneumonia. I hope he's feeling better because Brad is with him. I deal with all of them. I don't really talk to Dalvin, but I gave Casey and Dalvin a production deal for a lot of money, and Dalvin sort of, it is what it is. But anyway, back to Mary. I'm saying this because no disrespect to Mary, because I feel it was a compliment that her and Pac was good friends, and whatever they did, they did. So I'm not going to actually say what they did, I wasn't in the room with them, but I know that I was at the Peninsula Hotel in my suite, and I had Jodeci and them rooms there also. And Pac and Mary definitely was doing their own private thing in the room. Not saying they had sex or didn't have sex, but whatever they was doing, they behind closed doors in my suite. And I know that KC came over, and he was like, Mary in here. And I never lied to KC, but I'm not going to get between KC, Mary, and Pop, you know? I was like, shit, man, what are you talking about? Because I ain't going to lie, so I ain't going to say she not in there, and I ain't going to say she in there. I'm just going to let him in and say, what are you talking about? Because ain't no nigga that's going to go in another nigga's room, you know, and the door closed. So I'm going to leave it as that. But I can tell you this. Whatever they had going on, whatever they done, is a beautiful thing because, shit, Machiavelli, which is Tupac, that's my little bro, and Mary is one of the greatest people in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Mary got more nuts than most niggas. I think whatever they did, it's her to say what they were doing in that room, not Suge Knight.
And around this time, she was working with Puffy, right?
Definitely. The crazy thing about all that, I didn't have a problem with Mary continuing. Oh, first she was working with Puffy. And when Mary was working with Puffy, you know, Mary was signed to a production company. The production company had a deal with Uptown. Uptown had a deal with MCA. Mary knew that I had Jodeci. She came and asked me to help her. So I started representing Mary, and I got Mary off the production company, and eventually got her off Uptown, and got her a deal straight with MCA. I did a lot of great things for MCA, which is Universal. So once I did that, I got Mary from her publishing deal and did a publishing deal directly to MCA on Mary. Never got paid on it, never collected my royalties on, my commission on it. And Mary had called me and was like, hey, Puff want me to keep fucking with him. And, you know, after I got all those deals and made a great deal for her, most people have been like, I'm representing you. Shit, I did all the deals. I'm supposed to get my 20% for all the shit I did. And I was like, shit, y'all both from New York and y'all friends. Y'all from the East Coast. I'm from the West Coast. When it's all said and done, East Coast people are going to be with East Coast people, and West Coast people are going to side with West Coast people. So I wasn't going to put her in a situation where she had to choose. So I let her continue to go back over there and do what she do, and never got a dollar off the situation, nor feel bad about it. Once again, you know, when people are genuine, and a person like Mary, she deserves her cigars. Every time you do something for someone, don't mean you got to make money off someone. And God always blessed me to make enough money, more than enough money, and continue to eat. So yeah, she went back with Puff. That part was great for her, you know. They both from the East Coast. We can say what we want to say, but there's a difference between East Coast and West Coast. If something really go bad, and you can't expect people not to ride with their own people. East Coast gonna ride with the East Coast, West Coast gonna ride with the West Coast. Unless you're Snoop.
Speaking of Snoop, you was telling me before the interview that he wasn't a real Crip.
Well, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm not a Crip, so I really don't get into other people's politics. That's not mine. But I personally never seen Snoop pretty much act like a real Crip. Shit, Snoop they went on missions against Crips with us. Snoop done set Crips up for us. So I would take that hard to believe if he was a real Crip. He wouldn't been, you know, playing the way he played him.
Elaborate on that if you don't mind, man. You said Snoop was setting up Crips.
Well, like I said, I ain't gonna throw names.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
If any of our people got into it with somebody and it was a Crip, Crip knew more about Crips than other Crips. So Snoop was like, he lived here. He's over there. I'm going to get him to meet me here. I'm going to get him to show up at the studio. So basically, he didn't have no problem letting any Crip walk into the lion's den of his actions. So I would say that's a hard one to believe. And then when you really look at it, every person he really looked out for and did great things for was not Crips. Only person he looked out for and still today he's gonna show up and do things is my bro, Draws. Other than that, it's always, it is what it is. He know, everybody know. But I guess he look at it like the army. You can be whatever you want to be. I'm just a businessman. So I don't want to, that's like a foreign language to me. Straight bullshit. But who knows? Nothing really bad to say about Snoop. Snoop like a lizard. He changed colors with anything he be around. When he was with Don Juan, he was pimping.
Let me ask you this. How can we come to a common ground when it comes to you and Snoop? Like, how can we squash the issues between both of y'all?
Well, first of all, I think that not one person is bigger than hip-hop. And I think we definitely both need to give some cigars and do something special for Malik. More importantly, all the past should be the past. Snoop owed me I let him use one of my 61 Chevys. I ain't never got it back. They committed fraud on the title and sold it or something. I don't care about all that material stuff. I think the most important thing is we all should be able to look past all this and show the world that we can stand strong for the culture of our people and for the culture of hip-hop. And if we're doing something positive for hip-hop, like getting a union to help these artists and do something great, I'm all in, no matter what. But if it's not, it is what it is. We holler when we holler.
I gotta ask you about this because it went viral last week, so I want to get your response. And Harry, your ex-wife, she's suing you and Snoop. But what's the deal with that, yo?
Yeah, it is real crazy. I don't know what the fraud part come in, but I like Lydia. I think that she had a right to speak her mind, but the hurdle's going to be this. First and foremost is that in, I think it's 94, 95, one of them, she filed for bankruptcy. When she filed for bankruptcy, she never mentioned have anything to do with Death Row. Also, she did a settlement with me, Jimmy, Death Row, and Interscope. How that came about, we was talking, I said, well, these people want to do some business with us, but that never happened. And then when we found out it was drug money, they never gave me a penny, not $1. And matter of fact, I was at Dick Griffey's studio, Galaxy, and Dick Griffey knew a girl named, I think her name was Veronica. She was with Mike, and Dick was messing with the sister. Matter of fact, Mike had sent Veronica to mess with David Kidder. I guess low-key pimping on her or something. However, when I told him about it, I said, look, man, they want to get in the music business, but I found out they dealing with some illegal money. This dude's a drug dealer. I ain't fucking with it. right? Dick said, money is money to me. Let me talk to him. So David Kenner, Lydia Harris, Virgil Roberts, and Dick Griffey was all in Dick Griffey's office. They called me in the room. And Dick said, you guys want to get in the music business, y'all can deal with me. I'm established. They said, how much do we need to get in the music business? Dick said, $5 million. They said, they don't have no money like that. They said they could piece together and get some money and raise some money and come back and see him. Dick said, when you get the money, come back and see me. They had another meeting. Dick called me to that meeting. Reason why Dick was calling me, you know, I was the guy from the street that knew more of the conversations than Dick, plus Dick knew I got his back. So it was Virgil Roberts, Dick Griffey, David Kenner, and Lydia Harris. At that time, they had put together, I think it was $350,000 cash. Dick started laughing. He said, you can't get in the music business, but this could be a down payment. I could sell you my studio. They said, well, we want to be in the music business. We getting different money from everybody trying to, flip their money. David said that, and Lydia agreed.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Dick, an arrogant, cocky businessman, but a cold hustler, From the Tootie Reese's on down, they knew Dick. And Dick, one of the guys who started Soul Train with Don Cornelius. So Dick said, look, man, you guys can make money this way. So they gave Dick the money and bought the studio. Now, when I did the deal with Interscope, Dick Griffey said he had something to do with Death Row. David Kenner was trying to say he had something to do with Death Row. Jimmy and them had a meeting with these guys, gave Dick Griffey a check. Had a meeting with Lydia Harris, gave her a check. I think it was like $300,000 or something. Everybody signed off. When they came back and sued everybody, they sued Interscope. They sued Jimmy personally. They sued Sony, Tom Mottola, me, and Death Row. They showed them the settlement. The lawsuit went away. I was the only black guy, so they came back and filed on me. The crazy thing about it was, David Kenner was my lawyer and their lawyer. I never got served. I even never know I had a court date. So I got a default judgment because I wasn't there and my lawyer wasn't there. So when people hear all this stuff in the media, they think like I lost the case. No, I never showed up because I didn't know. Legally, they supposed to serve me. So now we goes and go settle again. This time around, they had a lawyer named Goldberg who was representing the rat, or Mike, and then Lydia, and then Kenner was involved, David Kenner. So now they goes and says they want $3 million. $1 million for Michael Harris, $1 million for Lydia Harris, and $1 million for Goldberg. So Lydia says, why do Goldberg, and the lawyer just said, why do Goldberg need $1 million? Goldberg was been the guy helping Mike get some money and get him out of prison. So I tell Jimmy, it's your motherfucking fault. Because when David didn't do my shit right, you guys know that you guys supposed to have the same thing to protect you guys, same thing protected me. They said, you right, we'll pay for it. So they was going to send him $3 million. So I called back because Lydia said, hey, don't worry about Goldberg. Just give Mike $1 million and give me $1 million. So it was $2 million. Jimmy sent the $2 million over. Lydia called back. I'm not dealing with my lawyer, councilman, or nobody. Only thing I want is $1 million. Fuck Mike. All right, fuck Mike. We give Lydia $1 million. Judgment satisfied. Supposed to be over. They turn around and come after me again. At the time, I just had got shot in Miami. You know, my femur was broke. You know, I didn't have time to deal with that shit. You know, I'm in pain and shit, trying to get my leg better. She wanted to talk to me. We didn't have a conversation. So now we get the recordings of Goldberg and them saying they have the judge in their hip pocket and told him what he was going to do. He was going to just fuck over me, which he did. Then they came to me and said, hey, you got this $100-some million judgment. You got the settlement from the 90s. You got the new settlement where you gave her $10,000 cash and the rest of the cash she would check $900 million to satisfy the judgment. That's all you got to do is show the judge. The judge didn't let us show nothing. Then they threatened Lydia.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
A lawyer named Mike Gibbons, who represented me, went to go see Mike. He came back and showed all the people word for word what Mike told him to write down. Told Lydia to stand down because when David Kenner's ex-wife, best friend, she was his wife at the time, he got our house next to them, introduced them to him. Next thing you know, the little teenager Jewish kid gets killed. They got caught in the kid's truck. They trying to get rid of it. Police put them over with the license plate, looking for the kid, blood everywhere, checked the DNA, the kid's DNA. They charged him with murder. He told the lawyer to tell Lydia she better stand down out the way or she been doing life with him for the murder of the little kid. So it went all bad. So I don't want to keep pressing the issue and getting anybody in trouble because I don't have nothing against Lydia. Nobody, if she had a daughter, I don't want to see no woman go to prison, right? So through that journey, they turn around and say, well, look, file a Chapter 11. So a Chapter 11 don't mean file Hammer's bankruptcy. Chapter 11 means, like Donald Trump and the rest of the guys did, show that in your creditors you can take care of and fix it and keep moving. Only thing they had to do was show them the 90-something settlement, case over with. Or show them the 2000-something settlement, case over with. They choose to do neither one because they wanted my company. So what happens, Interscope and everybody else end up with my company. They try to buy it for $500 million, $700 million, but then they get it for $25 million. Doesn't make sense. And make it even worse, is Snoop really involved with having death row, even though we know he still haven't showed us where he paid anything at? His partner is Michael Harris. So if this guy gave drug money, then Snoop involved with drug money too, because the law says you can't do nothing from fruit from a poisonous tree. So she's going to have a hard time because she settled twice. She's going to have an even harder time because she also filed bankruptcy and never reported. Inside the court documents, the proof is there, the fact that they even asked her before, if Andre and Mr. Knight own Death Row, and you saying you got 50% more than him, how did it happen? Did you have a partner or something? She said, yes. My partner is attorney David Kenner, which David Kenner is entitled half of the judgment. Only problem with that is David Kenner needs to be in jail. Know why? David Kenner filed bankruptcy. He never said he had anything to do with Death Row. He doubled down and said the opposite. I don't have nothing to do with Death Row. I don't have nothing. The only thing David ever did when he's talking about Death Row is when the accountant gave me a check for, I think, $10 or $6 million. David took that and paid for him and his daughter's credit card bill, the American Express bill, without my permission. I just found that out 3 weeks ago. But at the same time, I wish her the best. If they do the right thing by me, I still will look out for Lydia because Lydia is a good person and a bad person. Despite what David calls her, David the one calls her dumb, not me. But I think Lydia's good people. But at the same time, she had a trustee, creditors that they never paid. So she never mentioned any ownership in Death Row. David Kenner filed for bankruptcy. He never mentioned no ownership in Death Row. they'll go to prison for fraud. They got to be careful with that one. And more importantly, when you look at the whole situation and understand it, if they gave me some money or Death Row some money, where? They checked me inside out and the company. All the money I ever put up came from Priority, came from Epic, that's before it was Sony, came from Time Warner Brothers, Interscope. Now, when I first met Lydia, she came in to get songs. Ron Brown sent her up there. We was doing well up there already. We already had put out a soundtrack. We already had the publishing deal. We already had those deals in place and the money. But I don't want to rain on Lydia's parade, but it'd be a hard time to fix. Not to mention, David Kidder had all the proof. I gave it to him when he came to visit me at this prison. They gave it to me. Goldberg is Michael Harris' attorney. Castleman is Lydia Harris' attorney. Goldberg sent Castleman an email. Hey, we're going to take it from me. It's our judgment. He emails him back. It's our judgment. I got the judgment. They said, yeah, but you didn't supposed to get a judgment in the first place because Lydia filed for bankruptcy. You know you can't do that. And she didn't mention Death Row. He said, I didn't find that out 6 months or a year later. It don't care when you find out as an officer of the court. You got a duty to tell the truth. So they told him he got to stand down. Okay? That's one big major part.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
The second major thing about that, the fact that Michael Harris tried to say he's going to divorce Lydia and get half of the judgment. She already settled already. They already signed already. And, once again, if they say they gave me money, we got this, all the recordings they have of Michael Harris conning people out of money because he didn't have any money, and he got it from other people. And they say it's drug money. So how could you protest anything? So at the end of the day, when they do about me because they have to, I'll look out for it. But more importantly, when I gave Lydia $1 million, the Mike Gibbons supposed to give the money to Castleman because that's the lawyer. So this part is very important. Castleman is attorney for Lydia Harris. So DeMont Gibbons was attorney for me. So when I did the settlement, I paid her $1 million. The attorney was supposed to give it to her attorney. So DeMont Gibbons supposed to give the check to Castleman. Castleman gets his $400,000, which is 40%, and he gives Lydia $600,000. Instead, Gibbons gives the check directly to the cashier's check directly to Lydia. Lydia gives Mike half. She keeps her part. Castleman, so the judgment is settled. It's no longer a judgment against me. It's settled. They signed papers. They got the money. Castleman goes to court and tell the judge, I'm the lawyer. The Mike Gibbons supposed to gave it to me, and I got my percentage, and I would have gave her money. Instead, he gave the whole $1 million to Lydia Harris, and Lydia Harris fucked me. She didn't pay me. That's what Castleman said. The judge said, you know what? You're right. Gibbons supposed to give the money to the lawyer, not to the client. So therefore, the judge gave Gibbons, he gave Castleman, rather, $1 million judgment against Gibbons for the settlement of the default judgment. Now, the crazy thing about it, he gave Castleman an extra $600,000 because Gibbons gave it to Lydia instead of Castleman. But the main thing about this situation, the judge even admitted that the judges were settled when I gave her $1 million. So how in the hell did they go and liquidate my company? Only after I was in the county jail and couldn't talk on the phone, couldn't see nobody, couldn't do nothing. Every time you turn around, they only messing over me because I'm a black man. I know everybody always use the black card, but look at the facts. I get shot 7 times in one oak. The dude who was with the guys who shot me got shot in the arm by mistake. They gave him $1 million. The girl was 18 years old. She wasn't black, 18 years old, in a club that you got to be 21. She get a ricochet. Get hit in the ass. She gets $1 million. I get nothing. And on top of that, the judge in my state case said that my lawyer cannot come visit me in the county jail. So therefore, I can't fight if I can't have a lawyer. Now I got to try to get a lawyer who's representing me on the criminal side who's an idiot. So I didn't have a lawyer. I get nothing. But once again, if you look at the court documents, Catherine got $1 million judgment against Gibbons because when I settled the judgment, they're supposed to pay the lawyer instead of Lydia. Once again, all these things were settled. Once again, if you look at the law, any person filed bankruptcy and doesn't claim a business or any cash flow or money, any other business, you can't come back later on and say it's yours or your property. So they couldn't have had no right to sue me in the first place. Then once again, Michael Harris says he gave drug money to Lydia, and Lydia gave it to these people. Once again, Snoop and Michael Harris is partners, and they say they have death row. We're not understanding the law around here, or is the law really blind? Is the law really that blind? Let me out in the morning. So at some point, you can't make it fit when you want somebody else's property for your ways. It's worse than slavery. But at the end of the day, I'm Suge Knight. And my faith in God is unbelievable. I have my happiness. I have my health. I have good people. And my mission to be able to do great positive things in my community, for my community. And I'm just not waiting now. I've been doing a music therapy program, much as they allow me to do it here, for mental health. And once I get free, I got the same music therapy and mental health. Mental health is not just people who's homeless or people in custody. It's kids, it's doctors, it's lawyers, athletes, celebrities. Mental health is serious. That's one part of my plan to help out with that. I even have mental health. I have PTSD. One of the worst cases of PTSD, as they say, like a war hero. Many times I've been shot. But all in all, we got to stand up for right, for the culture of our people. I also want to say, stop letting these culture vultures take advantage of our people. Some people might be lying because they're getting paid to lie. Some people might be lying to get extra clout. But on a lot of these platforms, these podcasts, 2 people, I don't really know their name, but 2 culture vultures. Everybody who's been on their show got cases. Now they trying to use that against the homie. And some of the, I don't know, the little young dudes from Sixers, whatever, they trying to say all behind the podcast are the culture vultures. The best DA in the whole America It's these podcasts or YouTube. Say, let's do more for our people. And once again, we got to pick the right lawyers that don't sell us out. I got decorations right now where when I went to court, my second day in court, I had to go. I fired my attorneys, David Kenner and his partner. They told me, hey, you can't fire them. So my second day, I can't. I'm paying them. I can fire them. They turned around and said, well, no. I said, yeah. I said, well, I tell you what. I like to exercise my rights right now, go per. They said, no. They're supposed to let me represent myself. These two lawyers that's fired on the transcripts in the news, social media, goes into the next courtroom. They don't allow me to go. They go up there in front of a judge named Judge Cohen and said they can move my case from Compton to CCB. He can do my bail hearing, my prelim, my trial, all-purpose judge. I wasn't present. They don't represent me. It's called unphysical error, illegal. When I did my habeas and part of myself, they granted it. David Kenner did not put that part in there because he said it makes them look bad. So you rather for me to get denied on something, they got to appeal it, so you tell them the truth. And the crazy thing about it, I got decorations. The lawyers were there. The transcript shows I wasn't there, so they're in the wrong. So when I had another attorney who didn't want to go and report him to the bar because they said, I said, you have to. Female attorney, Attorney Jasmine. David Kenner refused to talk to her, to speak with her, every time she was out to help me. I said, why you don't talk to me? You talk to all the good people. His words was, I do not want to talk to that black girl. And I refuse to talk to that black girl. He's about to say bitch, but I had to check him. Then I had to check him when he called her a black girl because she's an attorney. Then he laughed and said, only other attorney was the black female attorney out of Pasadena was Angie, who allegedly she did time for her, but killed her two clients, two brothers. Something happened to their mother or whatever. They lost their mother. They got the insurance money. Instead of paying them, she killed them so she can keep it all. And David laughed about that. He compared her, because she's a black woman attorney, to the other black woman attorney. We all got to look and do our due diligence. Don't just check and go by, and don't not check and just go by what I say. It's paper trail of the receipts to prove the facts. As our people, we got to do better. I'm going to do best I can because we don't have no Jesse Jackson who talking or Dolores Tucker or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. We have no one. We got to stick together and do better. I even think one day Governor Newsom going to be president. I think he'd be a great president. We got to look ahead. We got to get involved in politics. We got to want to see better for each other. All praises to God, and I hope everybody well. I'm Suge Knight. I'm out.